out the door. She's running out. She run, run. I've seen that like 2 octaves lower than normal because I've still got this stupid onset throat thing from the fucking flu that I got. I go into a hospital once in the last how many fucking years, and I get sick from going to the hospital. That is classic modern medicine. Am I right? Well, if I'm not, come on, let's have a fucking debate. Let's have a conversation about it. After a disastrous Sunday million attempts yesterday, or may I say 6 Sunday million attempts yesterday, I guess my energy wasn't right for manifestation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Alright, that's I got a few topics up my sleeve if nobody wants to jump on instantly, but I'll just wait for people to roll up. Tell me how you're doing, beautiful people. Somebody says hi, konbanwa. Konbanwa. I don't know if that's I don't even know what language that is. Does that look Chinese? Kind of looks Chinese, but it also doesn't look Chinese. What language is that? Huh. Welcome, beautiful people. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. I like to do these streams relatively regularly. I feel like it helps alleviate any kind of mutual tension between a streamer and their audience, giving the audience a chance to talk back. That being said, I will be a little bit more stringent with. I made a mistake a week or so ago of just letting absolutely anybody come on, and I'm gonna have like a pretty quick toxicity level check. And if they aren't up to like a certain standard of non-toxicity, I'll probably boot them off. But that being said, does anybody in the chat, in either of the chats, want to come on and have a conversation? I do know that one of my good friends, Adam, wanted to come on and talk to me / debate me about trans issues, saying I was going off on one. So I'm gonna message him and see if he wants to be the first person. Sunday Miller not go so well. No, not go so well. 6 times over. My energy yesterday was all over the place. I was so emotional. It was pretty unholy. I got a few insights into why that might have been. Somebody said, prepare yourself to be dissed. People only like you because you're kind of smart. You know, your friends because your presence puts people in ease and makes the day easier. Oh shit, Mark. That's rude. That's funny. Alright, let's see. I should make an announcement, I guess. I'll do it on general. Do it on my general tab. Edit message, please. Twitch.tv/Epiphany77. Alright, beautiful people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and everything in between. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. What's up, Crispy? Check out my new album, Grind Time. Sending good vibes. How would I find your new album, Grind Time? I'm just gonna close the window. It's kind of chilly. She's running out. All right, let's do this thing. Oh yeah, shit. I gotta put the HTTP thing. Namaste. All music platforms, even YouTube. Should we check out Grind Time whilst we're here? Grind Time poker playlist. Let's see how that looks. Is it this one? Good morning, Harry Buttbald. You're safe, poker. why is your second account called Harry Buttbald? What have you done? By Nick Janev. Alright, does anybody want to come on? Have a conversation. Should I keep grinding 25 and out or go to bed to wake up for tomorrow? Probably go to bed, dude. If it's a question, you should probably go to bed. I don't know why it's lagging. Oh, I guess we're not playing that. Alright, what is the drone? Well, I do want to speak a little bit about the Doug Polk, Nick Airball, and Berkey saga. What do you guys think about it? How's it feel busting 6 bullocks? Feels familiar, feels nostalgic, you know how it is. Salam, my friend. Salam, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It was, it's just classic old Sundays. You know, Sundays used to be a case of like breaking even would be doing way above average. You know, breaking even on a Sunday would be like this, fucking go. And every now and again, you just get a huge bink. Somebody says it's super sad of Doug to doing this for clickbait. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are. Somebody else says I don't like Dog Polk. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Doug's kind of history around these things. So he made a video about me. He's made a video about Matt Berkey before, again. He's made a video about Ben Tollerine. He's made a video about Alec Torelli. Alec Torelli / maybe mine might have been the worst ones. And then he's made a video about Jay Nandez. He's been wild. He's been super wild. And pretty much every single time it's just been... Oh, and Dean Eggs, that was pretty fucking bad as well. Pretty much every time it's just been so out of order. So out of order. Can't believe what he did to Tony G. Is he still speaking to you after that big loss? Yeah, we cool. 200k is nothing to him. Somebody says, I think it's well for Berg to sell courses for so much money after seeing him play. Well, he mentioned on Twitter just now that he's only ever had one out of like 200 people buying that 4K course. He's only had one person ever refund it, which I think, and about Tom Dwan as well, which I think is pretty fucking wild. Like that, to me, that says buckets. You know, that's enough to say, oh, okay, that's probably a very legit product. If people are paying $4,000, they have the option to get the refund. To me, and they're not taking the refunds. To me, that says that the product's probably pretty fucking good. You know, maybe I'm missing something there because I haven't really thought about that for too long. Email PokerStars for the hand histories. I literally have, and they told me like, yeah, you can download them now. It's good. And then I go to the place they say, and it's just not there. So we're waiting on that. So yeah, I'm always very, very skeptical of people who sell poker courses that don't have like very obvious results. But I did also, let's get this up on screen. Let me just move this around. And please, anybody feel free to come join me for a debate. It is open for absolutely everybody. Let's just get this up on screen. This is, if I'm correct, Berkey's last 1,000 hours of poker. His net profit being 1.1 million. His hourly being, just that divided by 1,000, obviously. This is very impressive. This is very, very good. To be $1.1 million up in poker puts him in the top 0.01% of poker players in terms of results. Easy. So, if we're including like recreationals and stuff like that as well. So, is it unfair for him to then charge a shit ton of money for a course that he's put a lot of money into, like entertaining people as well? Like, it's a very entertaining course, so I've heard. The production value is incredible, which I have seen. And I assume the education value is at least somewhat fucking good. For $4,000, I don't see any justification for calling that fraudulent. If he is winning as much as he says he is, if there are other people on there that are coaching poker, and it's like a lot of it's for entertainment as well, because the entertainment is, it's hard to put a fucking price on it, but people are obviously paying for it. Then I could see an argument for like, oh, okay, that's overpriced. But to call it fraudulent is absolutely insane. Is absolute insanity, and it is very difficult to separate coaches that are selling courses and not being transparent about the results, not being articulate, not being honest about what kind of results they've had in their whole career, and then just selling a course for a large amount of money. It's hard to separate that from people that have been very successful, but perhaps just haven't published results in the last however many months or years or whatever that is. All right, we've got 2 people joining the chat. First of all, making his Epiphany Poker debate, not debut, we have the one, the only. Wait, is this your debate debut, Ben, or have we just talked privately?
1 second, wait. I need to pause your stream. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, brother?
I'm alright, man. How are you?
I'm good. Is this your debate stream debut, or?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we've talked privately though, right?
Yeah, we talk privately.
Oh, fucking shout out to Ben. Ben, for some reason, Ben reached out to me. Oh, not for some reason. Ben reached out to me and had a few questions on metaphysics. And for some reason, I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I'll just jump on a call with him for 15 minutes. I get a lot of people reaching out wanting to jump on calls, but for some reason it felt right to do it with Ben. What's up, dude?
So mine's not really a strongly held belief, but it's something that I think you would disagree on. So I thought, why not? I want to ask you about it. So it's your position on like trauma. So I've got a coach and that kind of thing, not a poker coach, just like a business coach and that kind of thing. And the way that I've sort of been brought up and the way that I've sort of learned about trauma and that kind of thing is more in the sense of like, what is the benefit of just going over back and sort of reliving your past, and like with therapy and that kind of thing? I've never found that to work for me. I think it's just better to sort of look into the future. Why do you think, and I don't know if this is your position, but I think it is, like I feel like you talk about trauma quite a lot and how that can affect your current behaviours and that kind of thing, and I just don't really see a benefit in sort of in the way that I would see it, sort of being a victim to that and allowing yourself to be a victim to that.
I'm just trying to. People are saying that you're a bit quiet, but you're actually quite loud on my side, so I'm just going to try and mess up. Just try and change the. Try and say test, and guys in the chat, let me know.
Test.
Tell me if that's any better. So, trauma is a very complicated topic. There are many different layers to it, and there are many different phenomena that are important when you want to be considering whether or not you want to be diving back into your trauma. Now, there is an element to it which you're correct. Sometimes it can be very damaging to just repeatedly and repetitively relive things from the past and just get sucked into it and just get, a lot of time people get into like a victim attitude and things like that. The thing about trauma is that there is a physiological and, in my opinion, a metaphysical truth to it, but let's just stick to physiological.
Okay.
If you watch an animal in the wild and you see it get run over, or you see it get mauled and it's very, very, it just escapes.
Metal on Instagram.
Huh?
If you just follow Nature is Metal on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. If you see that stuff, quite often what you'll see is that you'll see an animal after that have this massive shaking fit. This massive, like, fucking vibrating, and it looks like it's having like a spasm. It looks like it's dying, but what it's doing is getting out all of that cortisol, all of that stress, and all of that trauma. Yeah. Now the question is, what would happen to that animal if it didn't have the chance to shake it out? What would happen if it kept having those really, really scary and disastrous things happen to it, but it never felt safe enough? Its body never felt like it was in a safe enough situation to shake out that trauma. And the answer is, well, that there's something physiological that would stay inside of the body whilst whilst it was alive for long periods of time, and that would cause drastic harm within the animal. So that's the physiological layer. Also, being humans and having an extra layer of consciousness, we have the perception of what happened to us. So, for instance, I have the connotations. Let's say when you were younger, you never got loved deeply enough by your parents. You might be a really
I
vulnerable.
would also, if I could butt in there,
Please, yeah.
you said perception, and that's an interesting thing you just said there. You never got loved deeply enough by your parents. Like the question I would ask is, what does deeply enough look like?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's a perceptive element to that you can't really quantify what is enough because surely that's different for everyone. And also, you know, you may just have felt like you weren't loved enough, but you know, in another person in the same situation would have.
Well, we have to understand that we are humans, and human beings have specific requirements. You know, you could say, well, it's hard to quantify whether you were fed enough. It's hard to quantify whether you were kept warm enough, or whether you were too warm, or whatever it was. Obviously, we can't precisely quantify it, but we do know that if you underfeed a baby, it's going to be malnourished.
Yeah,
And in the
yeah.
same way, from the psychological literature that we have, we can say that if we undernourish a baby with love, it's going to have psychological ramifications for that baby in the future. So even though we can't precisely pin down exactly how much love you need, we know that there's this ethereal concept of, okay, well, a baby needs love from its parents. And if it doesn't, there are going to be psychological repercussions from that. So if you were to look at a baby that just hasn't had deep connections with its parents, its mum didn't breastfeed it, its dad wasn't there very often, things like that. It looked up as this vulnerable creature and just got coldness back in return. What will often happen is that first it will cry a lot and then it will just kind of shut down emotionally. And that's actually one of the common tactics for parenting. It's called the cry it out technique, and it's fucking brutal. It's literally disgusting. And so there'll be these connotations that are created within the person's mind, these patterns of recognition. Okay, the world isn't kind, the world isn't good, the world isn't loving. And because we're a human being, we actually layer on top of that. We have these thought patterns that go into when we're a child and then a teenager, and
You
then
create schemas and then you basically attach everything into those, right?
yeah, we create heuristics, or we create images of what the world looks like. We simplify it because we're young and dumb and human and things like that. And then we'll also relive those patterns. So when I was a kid, I was sexually abused by my granddad, and that made me not have a very large respect for myself. It made me this kind of very like vulnerable. I had a target on my back. I was because of that. I was a very easy target for bullies. And then more patterns happen, more trauma happens, and things like that. And as I grow older, I wasn't even aware that these patterns existed. I wasn't aware that I was going to be triggered when somebody said something mean to me because I was shut down emotionally so much. And this is what you could call trauma, but perhaps it would be better to then segment it and say there's the physiological trauma, there's the psychological connotations that we have, and then there's the thought patterns, the images that we create of the world. And it's a very multivariate thing, but the long and short of it is, if you're not addressing these three phenomena, or however you want to describe them, then they're going to exist within you whether you like it or not.
Right. Okay. And then, in your opinion, then what is the best way to sort of go about it? Because for example, the cry out technique, right? I think the problem with that is, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it does sound very logical because I suppose the thought process is, if the baby thinks that any time it cries, then it will just get help, and it wants help, and things will get done for it, then that won't be a helpful thing for it to learn in future life. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think that is the logic behind it. It's like it needs to learn to be by itself, and to not just need everything at the click of a finger.
Do you genuinely believe that as like an argument?
I thought that's what it would be about. Yeah, I think so. I think I do. Yeah, it's sort of like a conditioning thing, right?
So your idea of good parenting would be to
No,
not
no,
give
I'm not
your.
saying I agree with it. I don't think.
Oh, okay. So that's what I'm asking. Do you agree with the argument?
No, no, no. I just think that's what
That yeah, you're right. That's what the argument is. It's just a brutal and stupid and ignorant argument.
Yeah, I think it, but it is logical. So, and I don't think when people do it, I don't think they're coming from a bad place. I think they're coming from that good place, if you know what I mean. Where I don't want to, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know. But
I think where they're coming from is a misunderstanding of the human psyche and the human condition. And a lot of people who have not been loved themselves throughout their life underestimate how vital it is to love children. And a lot of people who are disconnected from their own emotions and from empathy, they won't be able to look at a baby crying and have that gut wrenching reaction. Oh, I need to tend to this child. So
yeah,
I've recently had a child, and like there's nothing in the world that could stop me from tending to it when she's crying.
yeah, and I agree with that. I agree with that. Like the way of doing it, I think that's the way I would naturally fall into it as well. But I'm just saying, like, I think that's the way that the logic that people use. And so that being said, like, what would be your so dealing with your past trauma and that kind of thing, like, if it's not just to to bury it down and just sort of get on with it and try and change your perspective on it in a positive way, which I think is the way I would go about it naturally, is like be like, okay, why can I be grateful for this? Why is that something I've been able to learn from, that kind of thing. And then
So what you're doing there is you're addressing it rationally, but you're not addressing it emotionally.
right, okay, yeah,
And
and
what
what
and
is
let me ask you this, so I'm not just lecturing you. What do you think might be the issue with only addressing these things rationally?
well, it sounds like from what you said previously about like the animals, there might be some more, you know, deeply held feelings that aren't able to sort of escape, and then you might use it in you might project it in other ways on other people and that kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So if you look at, and I was actually thinking about this exact thing this morning. If you look at, say, the top poker players in the world, a lot of them they'll talk about like, oh, mindset this, mindset that. You need to be grateful for this. You need to be hardcore thinking about this. But what a lot of them are actually doing is that they're giving rational ideas without actually being connected to their own emotions. So it's very easy to think that you're a stoic. It's very easy to think that you've reached eudaimonia, where you literally are above negative emotions. But what's very, very often the case, especially in kind of these first world societies, is that people are so emotionally disconnected that they're not even aware that there are still a shit ton of negative emotions floating around their body, because their mind and their body are disconnected. So they're not even viscerally feeling the emotion. And then they'll be like, well, yeah, I'm just on top of my emotions. And that was literally me. That
Mm.
was me. If you go back to 10 years ago, Charlie, that was, I thought I was above emotions. I thought I was what Nietzsche would describe as the Übermensch, because
Yeah,
I was so stoic and rational and things like that. And now I look back and I was like, I was just blind. I was a kid. I thought I knew, and I was just deeply hurt inside, but I hadn't taken the steps to actually feel my emotions.
so what how useful do you think that the stoic way of thinking actually is? What percentage of our needs do you think it actually covers then?
So
Do you think?
if you're looking at stoicism, I think it's really important to understand that stoicism in the context of feeling your emotions deeply and then being able to be in control of them is fantastic. But
Right, okay, I see what you're saying.
stoicism does not mean
Don't
repress
feel.
emotions
Mm,
and then come up with rationalizations of how to act in the world.
okay, I see what you're saying. So it's like, despite the emotions you are feeling, that's the way. And okay, that's quite interesting. I never really looked at it that way. Okay, um, awesome. Thanks,
Can I
Mark.
ask you what? So you said that you don't really at the beginning. You said you don't really feel like things like therapy are useful for you.
Yeah, I've
Like,
had, yeah.
what about your own individualized exploration? Like, I think especially modern therapy is full of nonsense.
Mm,
It's missing a lot of the large picture. But what about your own individualized, either doing it by yourself or with a partner, like a romantic partner or whatever,
mhm.
um, trying to explore your emotions as deeply as possible and unlock all those parts of you that have been buried down.
Honestly, I don't even connect to that at all. Like I think I'm extremely the what you're saying you maybe were before. I'm not like the hyper intellectual, like just rationalized person either. I think I'm quite emotionally intelligent when it comes to other people, but not very much of myself. So
You're not
even
you're
when I
not you're
just
not gonna be
start,
you're not gonna be that emotionally intelligent when it comes to other people if you're not connected to your own emotions. By the way,
well,
you might be able to
maybe I
look from
am
an
more
objective
connected to it.
perspective more often because you're not bogged down in your own emotions, but you're not going to be able to empathize. Like
Right.
emotional intelligence includes being in a room and knowing exactly what someone else is feeling because you feel it yourself. Otherwise you can't use your intellect to purely guess these things. There has to be a deep connection of empathy there.
Well, okay, so interesting. It's almost like we don't have the same. I don't know because what you tend to describe when you describe feelings seems to be this experience that is like maybe I've felt it, maybe I don't, but it sounds a lot more intense than than I probably understand. But like
I,
sort of
I
part,
used to lay in bed and I used to wonder what would it be like to feel sadness? What would it be like to feel jealousy? What would it be like to feel anger? And I was so fascinated and curious, and I was like, why am I different to everyone? I just don't
okay,
feel
no,
these things.
that's not me. Okay, that's definitely
Yeah,
not
I
me.
was the I was the extreme.
Yeah.
I was a very fucking traumatized kid. But if you take from one extreme to the other, and then in the middle there's a spectrum, it feels to me very much like you're nearer the end of the not feeling spectrum. I would guess you don't cry much. You don't. You're probably in your head a lot. You probably don't have like moments where you're talking deeply about, oh hey, this made me feel really jealous and upset, and I'd like to talk about it, stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a
No, no,
bad reading.
you're definitely right. I don't remember the last time I cried. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, okay, that's a good sign. I'm not like a massively, I'm not that kind of person that's like can't and never feels emotions. I'm not that to that level. But yeah, to be fair, I think it's. I remember one time I used to get put on the naughty step when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and I remember I was crying like loads on the when I was on it just because I was pissed off. I was on the stairs
yeah, yeah.
basically, like for whatever I did. And I remember I had no pair at the time, and she was like, "If you just keep crying, you're gonna have a headache, and then you're gonna give yourself a headache, and there's no point." And I think that stuck with me because it seems to be a thing of like, well, what benefit is there to that? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And that's like a core memory of mine that I remember,
yeah.
and it's quite interesting. There's another
Do
time
you,
as
do you,
well.
do you, wait, just to hone in on that one, do you see that as a traumatizing moment in your life?
No, I don't.
See, I would very heavily guess that, and I imagine other interactions you had with that person or maybe with your parents, I'm not sure, would be a traumatizing moment. Because what a
Right.
baby's doing when it's crying, or what a toddler's doing when it's crying, is it's saying there's some emotions in me that are dysregulated. There's some sadness in me. There's some anger in me. Whatever. I'm crying because I don't know how to express myself, so I'm like wailing or throwing a tantrum. I'm looking for an adult to come and help me. And if what you're getting when you're asking for help is rejection, what you're
Mm.
then going to create as a world heuristic, as a concept in your head, is like the world isn't there to help me. I have to help myself, which is not a very good way to be living. You have to be open to the love of the world. You have to be open to the love of other people. If you're closed off to it, you're missing out on so much of the experience of the being a human.
Yeah, I do think that that kind of thing pops up quite a lot as well. There was another time I remember when I'd got back from school, and I wouldn't say I was a massively bullied kid. In my opinion, I think everyone gets a bit of it. But being a fat ginger young kid for like most of my childhood, you're gonna get some shit.
Hell
And
yeah.
I remember one day I was at school, and I don't even remember why this particular time pissed me off so much. I remember people were like taking the piss out of me, whatever. Probably one guy in particular. And I remember like punching the fucking like with this playground and like this with this like metal cage around it basically. I remember punching it and like really fucking up my fist and then going home and it's similar to what you were sort of said a minute ago where it's like I went home and I was like, oh well, someone asked what happened to your hand and I told them, they were like, well, you're gonna get this shit for your whole life, you're gonna be ginger your whole life, so just sort of get used to it and stop letting people affect it so much. And to me, that has actually been a very, very useful bit of advice. You would probably call that traumatizing again. but to me, it's actually been very, very applicable and useful. And now I've got very, very thick skin, like extremely thick skin. Like I yeah, absolutely thick skin, and I think that is
So
useful.
I would call it good survival, for sure. And
Right. Okay.
thick skin, like I said before, I had it to the extreme. You know, you could have killed my best friend in front of me, and I would have laughed. You know, I was so thick skinned that I was impenetrable.
Mm.
However, that doesn't mean that I wasn't hurting on the inside. That doesn't mean that there wasn't pain in me. And actually, what I feel when you're talking, especially when you're talking about that moment when you were being bullied, I feel the pain in your heart. I actually see it on your face as well, and I can see that there's a mask trying
I
to
don't
cover it up.
feel it.
I know you don't feel it, but I do, and I don't know if anyone else
Right.
in the
Okay.
chat did as well. But like I can feel this like clenching of my heart, and it's definitely not my clenching. And it's that's what happens if you're open to empathy. You can feel the emotions of other people, and you actually pick up on like micro expressions as well. And the way that you're talking, and when you're talking about this, it's quite flat and monotonous. It's like very
Damn.
emotionless. Yeah. And there's like this mask that you put on, where you're just, you know, you're putting on like a content, happy expression. And I see it and I recognize it because it's exactly what I did. And that is your protection, that is your survival. And of course, that is a fucking beautiful thing to have, because if you don't have that when you're a kid, you're going to go into despair. You're not going to be able
Mm.
to survive. You're not going to be able to get up the next day and do whatever you have to do, eat or whatever. So it's beautiful that you have these defense mechanisms, but it's so important that you make a decision for yourself. Do you want to explore all of your emotions? Do you want to feel as deeply as you can? Do you want to unravel and unpick these defense mechanisms within yourself? Or do you want to live your life playing play money, you know, with very, very limited emotions?
Mm. Okay, that's interesting, man. That's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about.
Yeah. I can sense that when I'm saying this, there's quite a lot of it's like bouncing off you. So maybe I'm just going to want one more thing, then we'll get to the next person. The the ability that you have, and I've spoken to you before, so I know a little bit about you already. The ability you have to be able to be rational and to be able to be objective and to be able to see things that other people don't and to be holding yourself steady when other people aren't, that's not going to go. It might falter, it might waver when you're digging into trauma. In fact, you will, if you dig into it, you will have moments where you're like crying or screaming or whatever it is, uncontrollably, and you'll be like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't me." But then when you come out of it, you've got your whole life that you've built this rational version of you, and that ain't gonna go nowhere. And you got
Mm.
that for life, and that is a superpower when you're digging into trauma. So I'd say fuck therapy, you know, fuck any of these practitioners that are selling you something. Go and do it yourself. Go and sit and just fucking feel. Just be like, what happens if I really dig back into that memory of being bullied? What happens if I really fucking try and feel what I was feeling in that moment and just fucking see what happens? Because
Yeah.
I guarantee you're prepared to do that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. Really appreciate it. You're really, really, really helpful. And this is the thing. This is why I like the fact you do this kind of stream, because it gets people like me who would never even think about half the shit that you've obviously learned over the years. It gets me thinking about it. So yeah, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And shout out everyone in the chat.
Shout out everyone. All right,
Shout out everyone.
peace, Ben. It's always such a pleasure speaking to you, man.
Yeah, man. See you later, dude.
Peace. Fuck yeah. I'll post the link to the Zoom in the chat if anybody else wants to come on. We can talk about literally anything, absolutely anything you want, and have a debate about something, have a conversation about something. Ben is a fucking great guy, by the way. The reason I wanted to speak to him before, just privately, is because I really felt something good about him. Felt something good about what he can do in the world. So let's fucking let's see how that goes, huh? So before we were talking, and please anybody come in. Before we were talking about the situation with Doug and Berkey and Nick Ebel, and I don't want to talk about Frank. We just love Frank too much to talk about him. He's pure perfection. And the situation that's going on, and I want to be really, really direct with this. Doug at the moment, he's fallen back into his patterns of being a bully. And it did seem for a while that he was trying to step away from it, trying to step away from that addictive dopamine rush that he gets when he attacks other people and gets hundreds of thousands of people being like, ha ha ha, that was so funny, fuck that guy. And for him, it is truly an addiction. It is truly, like, he's mentioned that he has anxiety, he's mentioned that he wants to step away from it, but then he just gets dragged back into it. And he makes something that is essentially a hit piece on one of his competitors, somebody that he doesn't like, somebody he has beef with. There's part of it that's marketing his own brand and things like that, but a lot of it is just to drag other people down and to allow Nick Ebel to call him a scammer and not push back about it at all, and then to call him a fraud multiple times is insane. To do the video about Berkey's hands and saying like, ha, this guy sucks at poker so much, I can't believe you'd buy any courses from him, but not mention that the hands that Berkey was playing was because there was a bounty on for the Jack 4. It's like a very particular style of journalistic comedy. And, it's very easy to hide behind, well, I'm just a comedian, I'm just making jokes, I'm just having a laugh. But behind that, the intention behind that, to choose certain elements of it and leave out other certain elements, is the intention of cruelty, and it's the intention of deception. And to go even deeper of why that's happening is because on the inside, as I was talking before about, Ben was bullied when he was younger, and he builds up these defense mechanisms. I was sexually abused when I was younger, and it turned me into a victim for a while, which then turned me into this fucking cold, non-feeling human being. Doug was also bullied when he was younger, and there's a hurting person inside of Doug that wants to say, fuck you world, fuck you for picking on me because I was fat, fuck you for picking on me because XYZ. And instead of looking inside of himself and healing that trauma that's inside of him, instead of looking inside of himself and saying, okay, I need love, I need support, I need companionship, whatever it is, he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't know how. He doesn't have the ability to look inside of himself, so he looks outside of himself. And he says, I'm going to hurt anybody that triggers this pain inside of me. So maybe Berkey reminds him of somebody that bullied him when he was a kid. Maybe somebody criticizes him and that triggers him because he used to get criticized so much by his parents or by whatever it is. And instead of saying, well, I'm triggered right now, I need to feel, I need to meditate, I need to breathe. He says, I'm triggered right now, and I'm conflating Berkey with the person that bullied me as a kid. So I'm going to attack Berkey with all of the abilities that I have. And that is one of the prime examples of why you heal your own trauma. Because otherwise, without even knowing it, and I guarantee he's not very conscious of this, he ends up lashing out and hurting people because that's what the inner child that's hurting inside of him wants to fucking do. Helena says, I think therapy has a lot of limitations, but it was helpful for me for a little bit in order to get on the something. Sorry, it's covered up for some reason. That's weird. To get on the right path. I was so closed off to feeling / showing my emotions in front of people that doing it with a supposed expert was helpful, at least for a while. And think it can be helpful for a lot of people. Wouldn't encourage people not to try it for themselves. Therapy can be good. It can be very good. I've heard a lot of very good things. It is an imperfect art, though, and I think it's really important to be able to say that. It's like, if you learn poker from somebody who's not very good at poker, who understands it only slightly, you're starting from scratch. You are going to get better at poker. You are gonna you're gonna learn c-betting strategies and stuff like that, but it is important to say, well, you can learn from this person, but you could also learn from this. And what therapy doesn't do is it doesn't see the whole of the picture. It's very, very, very often not holistic. They are stuck within boundaries of, you're only allowed to do this, you're only allowed to say this. And it's also been infiltrated by the psychiatric community where they'll give you a fucking diagnosis for anything. So therapy, if it's the only thing that you're open for, fucking yeah, go for it, for sure. But there are many, many other ways to dig into your emotions, and I would suggest if you are open to it, finding the ways that are a lot more holistic. I have a question for you, Epiphany. What do you lack? I love that question. What do I lack? Right now, I lack the inner centeredness. So if you were to look at like a really powerful shaman as like a very prime example, they are unwavering. They're like an oak tree. You know, it's like you say anything to them and it's not gonna put them off balance. It's, you know, something happens to them, they're not gonna be like, oh, I feel shitty about myself. They're gonna be completely solid. So one thing that I'm really working on at the moment that I currently have not been able to master is that inner centeredness of knowing who I am, being strong no matter what the situation is. I'll always be strong, I'll always be brave, I'll always be able to face my emotions or face the situation. But what will happen is that it will have this psychological impact where I'll start seeing myself as less. I'll start seeing myself as kind of shitty. Yeah, and that for me is really important to heal as quickly as I can, because I don't want to teach my daughter, for instance, or other people around me. I don't want to teach them that other people's perceptions should shape the way that I see myself. So that's one thing that I'm lacking. If anybody wants to jump in and have a little debate ski, now's the time. I know there's one of my friends that did want to, so I'm gonna message him. So balance, inner honor, believe in your inner shaman. Yeah. And part of it is unraveling some of the thought patterns that I have of myself. And they're so deeply embedded. It's so fucking hard. You know, like, I think it was yesterday even, or maybe the day before. It was the day before. I was really facing what happened to me when I was an absolute newborn. And it was coming up because of Alora, my recently born daughter. It's crazy to be able to say that, by the way. You know, we give her so much love and so much attention, and she's such a happy, content baby. And part of me is then hurting, like, what the hell were my parents doing? Like, there's a part of me that's like, why wouldn't they love me in the way that I'm loving my daughter? And obviously the rational answer is like, well, they just didn't know how. They weren't prepared. They didn't have the emotional proclivities or abilities or awareness or consciousness or whatever it is. But when you're a baby, you don't understand that. So inside of my mind and in my body, there's these like psychological rifts where it's like this big gap between what reality is and what I felt reality was when I was a baby. So yeah, forgotten what I was talking about, but something like that. Somebody says, I think most people need therapy in the modern day because community en masse has been eroded. We have become increasingly disconnected from those around us and ourselves, while social media, etc., plugs the gap by feeding us with an illusion of connection, only driving the connection crisis deeper. Somebody says, were you always so spiritual, or did something trigger your spiritual attitudes? How does that all work when you're playing poker? It's a good question. I wasn't what other people would call spiritual, but in the same way that I would say that our last caller, Ben, is a spiritual being. You know, he's on his spiritual journey. He's on the journey of self-exploration. He's curious. He's asking questions. He's improving himself. That to me is a spiritual being. Whether someone's an atheist or a fucking Christian or a Hindu or whatever the hell they are, if they are exploring themselves for the sake of being able to improve themselves and then be able to explore the world through a more clear lens, that to me is the spiritual journey. So from a very young age, I was like, quote unquote, spiritual, because when you're bullied and you're trying to like figure out ways not to be bullied, I was constantly criticizing myself, analyzing myself. What if I try saying this? What if I try and do this? What if I act like this? And that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. You want meat? What's that back Ladies and gentlemen, making his Epiphany stream debut, we have the one, the only, G. Pavsky. Hello? If you are there, you're muted. I believe that was Thomas the Tank Engine. Get out of here. Am I wrong? Is that not Thomas the Tank Engine? I could be wrong on that. So yeah, feel free to come and speak about absolutely anything. Come debate me about fucking, well, somebody wanted to debate me about trans issues that could be coming up, about poker, about about different strategies, about life. There's not a single topic I'll shy away from. Thomas the Tank Engine, fuck yeah. Is that you? Is that about you versus Lex? I don't know what you mean. I used to fucking love Thomas the Tank Engine. I had deep questions, but you forgot them. Maybe we want to debate Thomas, yeah. Who do you guys think will win out of Nick Airball versus Berkey? Somebody says Lex was dissing you on stream yesterday. No. I don't know if that's true, so I'm not going to diss back. Interested if you'll get a Laura vaccinated at all? Probably not. But if we do, it will be with private, smaller companies, and not these large industrial pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, if anybody wants to debate me on childhood vaccination, that'd be a handy conversation for me, because even though I'm relatively well versed, there might be people out there that are more well versed and will be able to give me a good run for my money. Ladies and gentlemen, making his Epiphany stream debate debut, we have Larry Lee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So I guess I just want to say I've watched your stream before, and I'm a big fan.
Oh, thanks, dude. Try not to ever be a fan of me, but I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I've seen some of your streams where you're playing PLO with Tony G, and it's pretty cool. So.
Hell yeah.
Well, I just wanted to talk to you about. Hold on, just give me 1 second.
No rush.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm kind of in like a life crisis right now.
Okay.
So basically, I'm an American citizen. I left the U.S. in 2017 to work in China and like overseas.
Name checks out. Half American, half Chinese.
Well, yeah, I'm Chinese, but I'm an American. Like I was born, I moved. I'm like I'm an American citizen, but like I'm Chinese.
Gotcha,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, super makes sense.
Okay, so yeah, so I've been in China I'm in Korea now. But yeah, so my question basically is, I'm basically in a crisis, and I'm planning to return to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what happened was, I've been gambling and stuff like that, and I'm in kind of like a financial crisis. I'm just gonna cut straight to the point. Um, Basically, yeah, I'm trying to go back to the U. I'm gonna go. My plan is to go back to the U.S. and I have the reason for me doing that is because I have a Mercedes, a 2013 Mercedes, and the crisis I was talking about is like I'm in a financial crisis.
Okay.
And I've been, and I've yeah, so I'm trying to my plan basically is to go back to the US, and my car is in storage, and it was like a car that I got for during high school basically when I got into college,
Okay.
and it's all paid off for and it's under my name. It hasn't been driven in 5 or 6, from 2017 till now, so 6 years. But I mean, just by looking online, doing like a quick search, it's probably worth like 15 to 20 thousand.
Congrats.
So basically, I'm an English teacher, but I teach English in like schools, like a private school in Korea now, but it's like from 9 to 6, but the salary is really low. So it's like I'm making less than $3,000 a month, and it's just like not. No, I'm not trolling. I'm dead serious, and it's like, so basically my plan is to go back to the U.S. and I mean I plan on driving my car and maybe put up like my plan is to basically put like take my put up like use my car as collateral for a loan because I don't want to sell it outright because if I go back to the U.S. I'm from New Jersey, like I'm gonna need it to drive, right? But my plan was basically to.
I'm gonna cut to the chat. Are you asking me for a loan?
No, I'm not asking you for a loan.
Oh, I thought I was really sure
I'm
that's where we
asking
were
you
going.
for. I'm like really bad at explaining it because I'm trying to make like a long story really short because there's like a lot of different other factors that
Okay,
go
okay.
into.
So
Because I'm really bad.
what's the nitty gritty? What's the deep part of
All right,
this?
so basically, I'm alone and I'm on like I have to if I'm alone, so there's nothing really I can't ask friends or family for help, so it's like a really big decision for me.
What's the decision?
So.
What's the decision that you have?
Well, the decision is I basically want to quit my job and then go back to the U.S. and use because I have like no savings. I have like a couple $1,000s to my name.
Wait, you have a car worth $15,000. Why don't you just sell it and buy a ticket and then just buy a cheaper car when you get back?
I mean, yeah, that's like a great idea. But the thing is, if I go back to the U.S., I don't have like a job lined up, and I'm really worried about like living expenses. So my plan was basically to like utilize all these different signing bonuses for like different sports books and then try to become a professional sports gambler.
Do you know anything about sports betting?
I mean, yeah, like since high school, since middle school, I've watched NBA mainly, and I used to play like a lot of computer games, so I know a lot about esports, I guess.
I,
It's
I'm
kind of good.
I'm I'm just like my instant reaction here is that is probably not a good idea. Um, yeah, it sounds like you're looking for a quick and easy fix to a financial problem, but sports betting is such a difficult industry to be good at. Maybe there's a quick buck to be made in the sign up bonuses, but please, yeah, in from my perspective, it doesn't sound like you're well equipped enough to go into sports betting. It's such a saturated industry. I know people that do it professionally. It's a very, very tough industry. You need a lot of inside information from people that are very good at it. You're betting against other people who are absolute crushers in the market. I would say find other ways to make money instead of that. Maybe expand if you're teaching English, maybe up your prices and make it a better product. Maybe get really good at, specializing a specific type of English teaching. If you want to go into poker, that's it's an option, but
Well, here's the thing, right?
probably not.
Here's the thing, right? And I appreciate that, and I feel like that's really informative, and thank you for that. But let me explain my situation a little more, right? So before I left the U.S., I just graduated college, and I was like at parks, and I was like playing 1-2, and like dabbled in a little bit at Sugar House, like 1-3. I never really made it to 2-5, but I've also had like a lot of experience playing online. But like I've never used like a solver. I've never used like a HUD. So like it was kind of like basically break even or like so I kind of like my whole entire thing about trying to like change from an English teacher is because I don't it's like it's not enough money for me to be able to like save up and like like really improve my lifestyle because it's you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
okay, so another thing is, right, get this. Before I left the US, I all of my like I don't have my license is expired and like there's so many things like I don't even know where to start. But yeah, so the more I'm talking about it now, the more it makes sense for me to go back to the US because get this, right? And I'm not trolling. It's kind of fucked up, but I have no bank account in the US anymore besides my Discover card. But I lost and my well, I have a Discover and Bank of America, but I lost my wallet, so I don't have like the physical debit card. So I can't purchase anything online.
Right. That's yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty shitty. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you probably want to be in the US. I wouldn't want to be in China right now. Korea is not the best for making money. But I mean, if you can teach online, I mean, you could gather up all your money and go to somewhere like Thailand, where a teacher's salary will get you by very easily. Like I don't know how you if you have a US passport, I don't know. You know, you could probably go a lot of different places. I would say what it sounds like. I can't give you any direct advice because I don't know your situation very well. But what it sounds like is just like write down all of the facts, negate any of these kind of like dream things of like, oh, I'm just going to make a shit ton of money gambling, anything like that. Really get that out of your plans because you know that trust me that's like a red flag for going down a really dark place. And just make a plan and just say, okay, I could go to this country and I could live off this much money. I could expand my business doing this. Maybe I could do some more marketing. Maybe I could reach out to other people for other jobs in other countries, things like this. But just make a plan and feel what's right in your heart and just fucking commit to it, man. But I can't give you too much more advice than that because you know I don't know your situation.
Yeah, so it's kind of I don't even know why. It's just like kind of I just feel really like just I don't know. It's just good to talk about it more, and
No,
I feel like
I feel you do. And thanks for saying it. But I would say just don't be too attached to whatever happens. Just know that, you know, there'll be someone there to look after you no matter what. You know, even if you're in a foreign country and you just have to fucking ask somebody on the street, you know, I need a place to stay. You know, there are many different things that would have to go wrong for you to be in a terrible situation, for you not to be like fed and clothed and stuff like that. The fact that you still have this asset of being able to sell a car is like, you know, it's enough to get anybody to a place of safety and comfort. So look to family, look to friends, look to whatever it is. And yeah, try to find the fun in it. Try to find the adventure, because if you see it as a financial crisis instead of just like a part of life, then it's gonna feel a lot worse as it happens.
all right. Yeah. So what? So you think that's like a terrible idea, right?
The gambling thing, yeah. Yeah. Do you have family?
I mean, of course. Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. Are they in America?
No.
They're in China.
I mean, yeah, my brother, yeah, kinda. So
Is
it's kind of hard. It's like not a great situation, but I don't know. I just kind of wanted. Basically, actually, my question was, I'm kind of looking it up now and stuff like that. But it's like I read on some Reddit post where it's like all the different sign up bonuses and everything. It's like there's like a crazy move that I could make potentially where it's like a couple of $1,000 free. I don't
I
know.
think that the sign up bonuses thing might be real, but just don't ever put any of your own money into it, because it doesn't sound like you're prepared right now to be a gambler.
Yeah, I completely yeah I understand that, but it's okay.
All right, cool. Well, Larry, thanks for calling. I really appreciate that you're in a fucking tricky spot. I'm sure loads of people can relate to it as well. But yeah, there's not much that I personally can do to help, just because it has to come from you. You have to be the one making these decisions. But yeah, stick away from gambling as much as you can.
What do you think about the car situation, though? Do you think I should? It's a better situation to sell it outright, or would you?
Yeah, I
What do you
mean,
think?
fucking who needs a Mercedes? If you're poor, why do you need a fucking Mercedes? Just sell it, and if you need a car at some point, buy a cheap car.
Because it. All right.
That's what I would do anyway in that spot. Anyway, I'm gonna get the next person in. Thanks, Larry, for coming. You good, brother?
All right. Thank you.
All the love, brother. See you. Shout out to Larry. It's not easy to come in and share your heart on the stream.
Hello. Shout out to Larry. It's not easy to come in and share your heart on
Gonna need you to mute the stream there. Oh, you got it. Nice. What's up, Griffin Mason, making his Epiphany debate debut?
Yeah, how you doing? I guess it's not so much of a debate. I've seen a few of your streams, and I kind of was interested in the whole spirituality thing. I could tell you're a super spiritual person. And my whole life, I've never been into it or even dabbled into it, know nothing about it. A little background is just, I'm 30, an entrepreneur, been working my whole life, have a bunch of businesses, but I'm very interested in getting into that type of thing. So wanted to hear your take at someone my age, how you would start.
What do you want from it?
I guess I want to understand myself and what I want in life better. I always thought I want money and to be successful, and I pretty much am that already and have been for a while. So money isn't an issue, but I kind of want to discover and work on myself more.
To what end? To be happy, to help other people, to what is it?
Yeah, I guess to be happier. I wouldn't consider myself an unhappy person. I think most people in my situation would be extremely happy, but yeah, I don't know. I wanted to just explore more myself and the spiritual side of things that can offer me.
All right,
if there is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a million different roads you could walk down. Is there any particular type of spirituality which really catches your interest?
No, honestly, I've seen your streams a few times. I watch some poker on TV. I play poker for fun, and you particular catch my interest. Sometimes you have 300 viewers. I'm one of the 300 watching or whatever.
Yeah. When I do these streams, I don't get many viewers, but I really appreciate the people more when they're sticking around.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me just lay out a few different types of spirituality that you could go down, and perhaps there'll be something that that might catch your eye. So first of all, there's the very obvious deep intrinsic internal exploration of your own emotions and your own psyche. That can be done in a million different ways, but it's the unraveling layers of trauma, past patterns, and things like that. That will come no matter what if you want to explore spirituality, but that you could really dig deep into that and dedicate yourself towards that. Then there are other things. There's more quote unquote kind of magical things. If people, I'm not saying I believe in any of this stuff, but if you're into stuff like tarot cards, energy work, qigong, tai chi. You could be into astrology, a lot of these things. Again, I'm not saying I believe in them, but a lot of these things people would call quote unquote spiritual. You could get into shamanism, plant medicines. You could start gentle with something like cacao or hape, or you could go hardcore and go into ayahuasca or peyote or something like that. You could.
Yeah, but sorry, continue.
No, after you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first point you mentioned, I would say, was the most important for me. I think starting there is a good place. Start going with one of the other points will bring me to that first place of just looking at myself, my past traumas, stuff like that, and better understanding it.
Where do you live?
In Bali, Indonesia.
You live in Bali?
Yeah.
I have a friend in Bali who she is one of the most. I respect her so fucking much. I'm actually just gonna drop her Instagram in the chat.
It's small. I've been here for 5 years, so it's a small expat community.
Yeah. She's one of the people that I've sent a bunch of people over to go work with her, because she's fantastic spiritually, and perhaps if you have the money, you could work with her one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super interested in that.
All right, fuck yeah. I've left it in the chat. I'll put it in the Twitch and YouTube chat as well. She's called Marae, and yeah, she could probably, even if you don't work with her in like a in a therapeutic way, she would at least be able to direct you towards places and communities where these things are thriving, because she'll be in touch with it. Bali's one of the places I can't wait to visit.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially for this type of thing. Like I said, that there's whole communities around like these different types of spirituality here.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a healing place as well. So I mean, if I were you, I'd be going out in nature every day. Are you doing that?
No, like I live like the classic 6 a.m. gym,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
sauna after work all day, and then like not do too much at night.
Yeah.
Like I've been grinding for a long time because I do have a lot of work and businesses to take care of. So that's why I'm trying to like kind of get away from that a bit.
No, I love it. What's your business?
In Bali, I have a construction company and I also have a alcohol company.
Damn, that's proper capitalism 101. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's why my whole life has been that, and because I haven't really felt like I knew what anything I wanted to do. I wasn't passionate about anything, so it's just been like grind, make money, because that's just like freedom for me. The more money, the more freedom I have.
And
That's why,
now you've got all the freedom. You're like, fuck yeah, I've done it. Now what? Now what?
kind of, yeah, in a
Yeah.
sense like that. There's more to it than just money.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably just look online and be like, okay, let's go to a cacao ceremony. Let's go to a Vipassana. Vipassana is a little bit intense, but maybe something like a 1 day spiritual event. I'm sure there's a website that has them all listed somewhere. Cacao ceremonies are really fucking good, by the way. If they're
Okay,
if they're done by the right people.
I'll look into it for sure because there's a lot of these types of um, things here. Like also like like they have like 10 day silent retreats.
That's the Vipassana. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Uh,
the passion. Okay.
yeah. That's intense. That's very intense. I'd say ease your way up to that unless you're feeling extremely adventurous.
Okay. Understood. Yeah.
Because as well, something you'll find, and in Bali this is pretty prevalent. A lot of practitioners kind of suck. They don't really know what they're talking about. A lot of these yogis, they'll pretend, like they'll give off the impression that they're like the most spiritual person in the world, but in actuality, there's like, they haven't got their own house in order, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
that has been my experience, and especially in Bali, where a lot of people pretend to be people they're not. So,
yeah,
like yogis or like life coaches or whatever, like gym trainers, but in actuality, they're not really making any money or doing anything, or are not studied at all really in the fields.
yeah.
So,
Shout out to Pete for raiding again. Thanks, brother. We're having a debate stream today, so if anybody wants to jump on and debate about literally fucking anything, I'm leaving the link in the chat. We're currently talking to Griffin, who's telling me that he wants to get into spirituality because he's been so successful in capitalism, and now is curious about where else to go in the world. So yeah, please do reach out to Marae. She's fucking fantastic, and she'll be able to answer like Bali specific questions as well.
okay,
It's very rare to find people that are that kind and honest and have that much integrity, and yeah,
I'll tell her you referred me as well.
fuck yeah, fuck yeah.
So I guess yeah, that's about it for me. Like I don't really have anything to debate in particular, but
No, it's cool. This isn't just debate. We can just have conversations. And yeah, if you want to reach out at any point and just tell me how it goes, in a few weeks or whatever, tell me what you found. I feel an intrinsic curiosity because I recognize and relate to the place that you're at right now.
awesome. And is this the best way to reach you through YouTube or?
No, like Twitter or Instagram. I read all my DMs, even if I don't reply to
Okay,
most of them.
perfect. Instagram.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Griffin.
All right, and if you're ever in Bali,
Oh, dude, yeah, actually, because I am planning on going to Bali pretty soon. Maybe in the next like year or two. But yeah, it's one of my definite next places to visit.
it's a great place. All right, I guess on to
Cool. Peace, brother.
Thanks.
Somebody in the chat says, attain permanent non-dual awareness, mate. That is exactly what I'm trying to be doing, what I'm trying to do. That is precisely it. But the mere act of trying is in itself intrinsically, I guess, wrong. You know, self-defeating, which is one of the issues of non-duality. As soon as you try to do something, as soon as you try to achieve something, then you're creating a duality. You're creating here's a person that it's trying to achieve another reality instead of just being. The only way to really achieve non-duality is through conscious awareness. You can have the intellectual explorations and conversations, but it has to be grounded in this practice of silence, nothingness, and conscious awareness. You are conscious awareness. Yeah, that's what I keep fucking saying. That's what I keep telling myself. But fucking can't realize it when I'm playing poker, apparently. Sometimes, at least. No, I'm doing pretty good. Does anybody want to debate anything? Anything at all? Anything at all? Any disagreements? You'd think by looking on Twitter or YouTube, there'd be like a line of 3,000 people waiting to disagree with me about something. But when it comes to these streams, everyone's really lovely and fucking. I'm very happy about that. You know, I'm very. I dig that everyone's very lovely. I like keeping up to date with some of this poker Twitter drama stuff because it's a very fascinating ordeal to watch a lot of very traumatized people act in certain ways who are you know, expressing their own individualized trauma without even fucking realizing it, you know. Me included sometimes, me included. I try to be above it, but especially like around about 5 days ago, I got sunk into it for a little bit. And happens. Can't be too hard on oneself. You love this show? Thanks, dude. Are there any lurkers in the chat that are just kind of watching and chilling out, but not? Because sometimes when there aren't that many people talking, there's a part of me that's like, it doesn't feel real that there's actually an audience. Because I did a talk at Warwick, for instance, and there was probably like 50 people, 40 people in the audience, and that felt like a lot of people. You know, it was like fucking 40 people. Holy shit, that's a lot of fucking people to speak to. You can see them, you know, you can hear the laughter, you could see who's like checking out, you can see who's paying attention. But when it's Twitch and there's just like a few people commenting, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like there's like a fucking, I don't know how many people watching. Let's fucking find out. It doesn't feel like there's 273 people watching right now. But there is. It's kind of crazy. You're all bots. Good to know. Lurker here. Lurker. Fuck yeah. What's a better site? Stars or GG? I think GG is just objectively better now. Seems to be objectively better. And pretty much every single criteria selection that you want, apart from the software of stars, is still better. The software of stars is better, but it's close. It's like it's not an obvious one. Would you guys like to see me make my own poker website? Wait until you have kids, Charlie. You won't have any silence or time to sit philosophizing. I do have a kid, and she's about 2 weeks old, and she barely cries. She's so content and happy with her life because she gets unwavering love from her mother and from me that she barely cries. When she does cry, we know that something's off, and we quickly tend to it. My theory is that babies aren't meant to actually cry as much as they do. My theory is that babies crying continuously are a sign of the parents not tending to a specific need of the child. If anyone wants to come and debate that, now's a good time. Here, how about I just list off some controversial topics that I personally would like to speak about. I believe that eating fast food is self-harm. Yeah, I believe you're harming yourself. You're committing an act of self-harm by eating something like McDonald's. All right. I believe that affiliating yourself with any political party is stupid, and choosing a side is missing the point entirely. All right. Griffin Mason coming back in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, making his Epiphany Poker second appearance in one day, we have Griffin Mason.
Hey, I'm back.
Hi.
Got me on the McDonald's thing.
There we go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So yeah,
I put out some bait, and I'm reeling you in now.
as someone who lives in Bali, McDonald's is one of the best choices here. I mean, there's a lot of food, but it's consistent, and yeah, like I'd have to say, like it's one of the healthier options. If you look at a lot of other foods that you order from, I'm talking in general of like ordering apps, so like burgers or I don't know, pizza.
Wait, bro. Is this debate going to be McDonald's is healthy?
Yes. To an extent, not healthy. I'm saying it's not bad for you.
Correct. Yes, that is what I'm saying. McDonald's is healthy.
Yeah, like it's made without preservatives. The only preservatives in McDonald's is in the pickles.
What? So we look. What do you usually order if you go to McDonald's? What's like a classic order from Griffin?
So I specialize in McDonald's, so I'll order like a double or triple burger without cheese.
Okay, we got a hamburger.
Yeah.
With
So it has
it's got bread. It's got bread. It's got burger. What else has got?
Bread, burger, some ketchup, mustard, and a little bit of like chopped onions.
All right. So, what else would you have in that meal? So you got a burger without cheese.
Oh, that's like that's the meal.
You just got one burger, one small.
It's like selective. I'm not having fries. I'm not having a Coke, but like you can have a Diet Coke with that.
So let's look at this burger. Let's say it's just a burger. We'll get into the Coke another time. That's another fucking entity itself. So within that burger, what do you feel the ingredients are?
100% beef.
What else?
There's bread. Like we just listed the ingredients.
So you think the bread is just fucking bread you'd make at home, like flour, water?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know the exact ingredients in their bread, but I know.
I'm about to tell you something that's not going to be super fun to hear. There's a lot of ingredients in McDonald's bread, my friend.
So what is the like? Okay, so we're talking about. I'm talking about, I guess, more anabolic, like healthy, than hot. What I'm saying is it has like high protein, for the amount of protein, lower calories, like low sugar, compared to like other meals out there, like eating a pizza or just a regular burger from another burger place is just going to be a lot worse for you, full of oils and different things than a McDonald's burger.
Yeah, sorry, brother. These things aren't true. Maybe it's high in protein for sure. Maybe it's low calories for sure. But these aren't the only variables you want to be considering when you're thinking about health. So let's look at this beef. Where do you think they source this beef from?
Well, it depends on the region.
Okay, so let's say the one in Bali. Where do you think they're sourcing this beef from?
Australia.
Okay, and what kind of farm do you think these animals are living on?
I mean, are you anti beef or?
No. I eat beef all the time, but not that beef.
And for what reason? You think it's like farmed badly, fed badly, something like this?
Precisely. Yeah.
Obviously, I think they live not a good life, the cows.
Yeah, so ethics aside, ethics is a big ordeal. I think we'll look back in 100 years at how
Yeah,
people
I'm
are
not talking
supporting
about
factory
ethics
farm,
or anything
but
like
let's get nutrition. Uh, First of all, it's not like they're taking a slice of prime rib out of these cows when they're making McDonald's burgers. They're getting the leftovers to put in these things. Second of all, these are factory farm animals. So these cows will be fed on things like corn and feed and GMO crop. Like they're basically just plumping them up to get as much meat out of them as possible, which means that all of that dissonance when they're feeding them things that they haven't been evolved to eat. They're not feeding them grass. They're feeding them feed. They're feeding them all of these chemically pumped things. All of that is then going inside you when you're eating that burger.
yeah, like GMOs are used in most foods though as well. Just
Yeah,
to
that's why
refine.
that's why it's hard to eat these days if you want to be healthy. But GMO aside, like the chemicals that are going to be going inside of these things, the things that they use to plump. I don't know the exact names of all of these ingredients, but the things they use to like plump up cows. These aren't things that cows have evolved over millions of years to eat. These are things that cows distinctly get unhealthy from eating, but they get bigger.
Yeah, but the question at the end of the day is it unhealthy to eat? What is in the actual meat that makes it unhealthy, right? That's what you're saying. That's what your question is.
Well, I'm saying there are things inside the meat that make it unhealthy.
And like what are those things? And like for example, in the bread, like we can Google what's in the bread, and it's just common ingredients in bread.
McDonald's burger bun
Like
ingredients.
compared to other burgers. Like I'm comparing it to obviously other burger buns.
All right, so we have wheat flour. So this is non-organic GMO wheat. Just so you know.
Yes,
Um,
but which is the same in all burgers.
well, I don't eat non-organic wheat. I actually don't eat wheat in general, but just so you know, I don't eat non-organic wheat. Water,
Okay.
great, love that, love water. Next, sugar. So this sugar, it's not unrefined organic sugar. It's sugar that goes through a very, very distinct refinery process, which they use a shit ton of chemicals. Like, name all the chemicals that you think might be bad to go inside of your body. They use those chemicals to make the sugar. I got a friend one of my best friends, he works in a sugar beet factory. He tells me the process of what they do to make this refined sugar. It's fucking toxic. There's a reason that sugar makes people fat, and it's not because unrefined organic sugar is bad. It's not because fructose is bad. It's because the process that we put the sugar through to make it into the sugar that goes into your burger bun is absolutely atrocious. Next, rapeseed oil. Again, non-organic rapeseed oil is terrible for humans. Absolutely terrible. Yeast, salt, and that seems like it. Emulsifier, mono and diactyl, some acid esters. I don't know. I don't know what to make of these things. But apart from that, so just from that, we just from the bun and just from the burger, we've got already like 6 things that I would never put inside my body.
So you don't eat any fast food?
No, not at all.
Okay, yeah. I guess what I was referring to, what healthy, like is more the anabolic value. So if I'm ordering like a pizza or a burger from another place, most often in terms of like calories protein ratio, it'll be better to eat at McDonald's than most other foods.
Right. So
That's what I'm
I'm
not
I'm
really
not
like
100% sure what you mean when you say anabolic, but if you're talking like macronutrients, these
yeah,
aren't the
macronutrients like protein, sugar, fat.
right. These aren't the only criteria that go into whether something's healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah,
You know,
and
you can
I
have
agree with
protein in
that.
something, then you can also have poison in the same thing.
I agree with that. So but you eat meat,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So is there certain types of meat you would like you would only eat organic beef or like steak, organic steak, grass
Yeah,
fed.
grass fed, grass finished. Make sure that it's not a factory farm. Make sure the cow's got a happy life. Like, I'm really particular about that.
yeah, I just don't think those like these small little things matter as much as people think. Like
No,
all these,
they matter so much more than most people think.
and
Um,
why do they matter for your actual health or like
Yeah,
kind of
for your actual
your
health, and
mind, your body?
I do want to be clear because somebody did mention this. I get that eating healthy is fucking expensive, and not everybody can do that. Um, so I'm not debating whether everybody should be eating fucking organic fucking steak every day. But what I am saying is that if we're purely talking about objective facts in the health, there is a huge difference between a grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range cow versus the stuff that you'll get in a McDonald's burger, which will be factory farmed, pumped with chemicals, pumped with GMO, pumped with fucking loads of stuff, had cruelty its whole life, had stress its whole life, has changed it, and then it's not even like you're getting a slice of that meat. It's like you're getting the debris. You're getting like a little bit of that, a little bit butt cheek, a little bit of fucking whatever it is, just mushing it all together and calling it a burger.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I guess my initial thing was in terms of health. I was talking about if I had to order a McDonald's burger or
Oh, I got a raid.
just
1 second.
random
Thanks to
burger.
Reddit 2 for rating. I didn't realize, but thanks, brother. Hi. Sorry, as you're saying.
Yeah, in terms of fast food meals, I believe McDonald's is one of the healthiest fast food meals you can go for.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how my shit smells, I think my shit smells better than most people's shit. So I feel you, but sometimes it's best not to compare shit to shit when talking about smell, and sometimes it's best not to compare like healthy to healthy when you're talking about fast food.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you genuinely, and maybe this can relate to your spiritual journey as well, if you want your mind, your body, and your psyche to be aligned in a certain way, so you're functioning at your highest level, so you have the ability to be kinder, so you have the ability to be more cognizant, more articulate, more whatever you want in life. Feed your body what it evolved over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years to eat. Don't feed it. It's like putting the wrong fucking fuel in a car. If you put the wrong fuel in a car, it's not going to run as well. It's not going to run as efficiently. So find the things that make your body feel good and eat that. And if you're eating things that you know are going to be causing you harm, like, by the way, a McDonald's burger is causing you harm, that is an act of self-harm.
An act of self harm. Okay.
By definition, you're harming yourself intentionally or not.
Okay. So I'm gonna send a quick curveball.
Pow, pow. Let's do it.
What do you think about Nick Airball as a poker player?
He's not, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. And first of all, I do not judge people based on I don't judge their whole based on how good they are at poker. He's a really not good poker player.
Okay, so obviously he considers himself like a pro and above like all the recreational players that he plays with.
Yeah.
And so you would be against that. Like he's been getting lucky or
I
finding the
mean,
right spots or
he
what
when he's a bit more disciplined, I think he can be pretty good because he does know how to put people in tough spots. But his discipline is so low that he just feels like he can run people over with any two cards, and he can't. You know, he's making a lot of plays that are super minus EV. He's making a lot of plays that not even the best player in the world would be able to make it profitable pre-flop, and he's still doing it because his ego is out of control. So yeah,
you could argue that it's for the game and this is that we get into these games, right?
maybe that's why he's doing it. But I get the feeling that he's already very much well invited to these games. He doesn't need to start like calling 5 bets with 9-8 off or whatever he was doing.
Okay. And last question: would you play one of these live streams?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm banned from America right now, so I'm actually planning on potentially making my finding one in England at least. Maybe creating our own one if we get the gambling license.
Okay, cool. Well, I'd be very excited to see it.
Fuck yeah! All right, thank you, Griffin. Thanks for coming on debating whether McDonald's is healthy.
On twice.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
Maybe I'll eat a bit less McDonald's.
We'll see. All right, peace, dude.
Peace.
Somebody else says in the chat they're not allowed in the USA either. Feels good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, making his Epiphany stream debate debut, we have, hey Pedro, Pedro. We've got Pedro. What can we gain from Pedro's room right now? Let's do a little bit of analysis. He's got a pull-up bar. Very pertinent. It tells us a lot about him. It means that he likes ease of access. It means that he wants to exercise and keep in. Sorry about that. Sorry for headphone listeners, by the way. Oh my god, sorry if that was that loud. I shouldn't have done that. We've got a gamer's chair, so he probably spends a lot of time behind his computer. We got an intelligent face. Looks like a very intelligent guy. Looks like a very intellectual guy. Perhaps more in his head than he is in his body. Yeah, I can see a lot, but I'm not gonna keep talking. What's up, Pedro?
Oh, I'm live already.
Yeah, dudes, we were just analyzing your bedroom. How you doing, dude?
Yeah, good. I was just checking on my cat. It's outside, but it's fucking freezing here.
Where are you at?
Norway.
Oh yeah, shit. I was just in Denmark and it was fucking horrible, man. It was so fucking cold. It was unreal. But beautiful country, but it was so fucking cold.
Yeah.
So what are we here to debate about, Mr. Pedro?
I forgot.
take a second.
Let's see. Yeah, well, I wanted just to ask a few things. Just tying up to the last conversation you were having with that guy. I heard you say many times that like the vegan diet is not like optimal for your health.
I don't think I've ever said that, or at least not recently. I don't eat vegan for health reasons, but that's not to say it's not optimal.
Okay, so my question would be, what would be the nutrient, or what is it that you cannot get with a vegan diet that eating meat provides you?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because in 1,000 years we're gonna look back at our understanding now of nutrients, micronutrients, or whatever else, and we're gonna look and be like, oh, they didn't know about this, they didn't know about that, they didn't know about this, they didn't know about that. We're babies right now trying to figure out nutrition. Nobody can agree on anything. So to be able to say, well, every single vitamin that you need is going to be in a plant-based diet, that might be true, but there might be other things that are happening inside of our bodies that we are unaware of that meat might be able to satiate or not. So to be able to articulate this and analyze it intellectually is just beyond us as a species right now. But what I can say is that when I've gone vegan, it's been for very particular reasons. I've listened to my body and said, okay, I need to cleanse right now. I need to be able to digest my food quickly so I can cleanse my liver, so I can do all of these things. But then when I've wanted to eat kind of organic grass-fed, beef or something like that, it's because I've wanted a little bit more grounding in my life, a little bit more strength and consistency, maybe even a little bit more like primal instinct and things like that. And so that there are some deeper things happening than just analyzing specific nutrients when it comes to food.
But do you think those things really can justify the murdering of an innocent animal?
Yeah. So here we come to it. You started nutrition. Now we're going to morality. Are you done with the nutrition part? Is that over?
Yeah, because I assumed that would be your main argument, that there was going to be something that you couldn't get from a vegan diet, because, from listening to you, you seem like a person that's really concerned about, doing the best and having compassion for all humans and all animals and so on.
Yeah. 100%.
So I find there that inconsistency, and I don't know what your explanation is for it.
Yeah. So I'm curious, if you were to look at, say, an indigenous tribe, right? And there are some elders and some shamans, and their way of being is to, say, hunt a deer and honor it, ceremonialize it, and give respect to the deer before they eat it. would you in your mind see that as a lack of compassion?
No, because they are doing it to survive.
No, but assuming that they also have other options where they could eat a plant-based diet, but that just so happens to be the way that they do it, which I've come across, by the way. I've come across people and tribes that would be very, very ceremonial about the way that they eat meat. They don't eat it super often either, but they listen to their bodies and they feel like it's the best thing for them. And so when they do hunt it, they'll do it in a way with a lot of respect and a lot of compassion towards the animal. Do you feel like the intrinsic act of killing that animal is it's a lack of compassion?
It's really hard for me to put myself in their place because it's, like you said, a tribe. I cannot compare myself to them. I'm like a privileged man that lives in like the first world, who can go to a supermarket and have everything I want. And I really cannot put myself in their place, so I cannot really judge that, and give you an honest opinion.
But the argument would be like, is the act of killing an animal intrinsically wrong or not? Assuming that it's not absolutely necessary for survival.
So here is the thing. Just because something like, say, 2,000 years ago, we needed to hunt to survive, in the winter we didn't have, like, depending on where you live, you don't have any plants or anything, so you need to survive on meat.
You're right, but we're not talking about survival here. Like for instance, I spent some time...
Well, that's what I'm going to say, like...
Okay.
Just because something was, like, morally acceptable in the past, doesn't mean that it's morally acceptable today.
No, I agree, of course.
And you can say the same thing about your geographic location. Just because something is morally acceptable in some location, in like a jungle in the middle of nowhere or in the desert,
yeah,
it doesn't mean that it's morally acceptable in London or in Norway.
Yeah. So I'm not making that argument at all. We agree on that completely.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is that when we look at these tribes that are, they're slightly modernized, like they have access to supermarkets, they're not retarded, they're not living outside of the world, they're not off grid or anything like that. These tribes still exist, like Native American tribes, for instance. Mm-hmm. They still choose to ceremonially eat, and it's not just they'll only ceremonialize the meats, they'll also ceremonialize the eating of the plants as well. And their idea would be that it's an act of respect and an act of compassion to hunt and kill and ceremonially share this meat, and it's part of the circle of life. It's part of the intrinsic cycle of being human. And for me, that feels really right. It doesn't feel like it's more unethical to hunt and kill an animal than it is to hunt and kill a plant or something like that. And I really deeply empathize with the kind of vegan argument. I even went down there myself. I went down that route myself quite a few years ago, but I was vegan for like a good 2 years, because it seemed to me like how can you justify killing something? How can you justify the harming of animals? But when I looked deeper, and when I really understood the nature of things, and I saw that animals aren't the only thing that's alive, man. Plants are alive too. We might not relate to them in the same way because we have more genetic commonality with an animal than we do a plant. But they're alive. They want to live. Want is like a human word, but they have that. They go towards the sunlight. And actually, if you dig deeper into, say, something like ayahuasca, and you find out there are levels of consciousnesses to plants even. And you're like, holy shit, consciousness isn't just what modern science paints it to be. Mm. Consciousness isn't just, what we call things that we see acting like humans. Consciousness is so much deeper and so much more than that. And then for me, that's a more holistic way of looking at the situation.
So did I hear right that you said that you don't find any moral difference between, killing a plant or killing an animal? Is that what you said, or did I hear wrong?
I said that, and I would say that again, but with caveats. Perhaps is a more precise way. Like,
yes, yeah, go ahead.
For instance, I think that it is you're doing more harm in the world by intentionally killing for no reason a cow, for instance. If you're just like walking along and you kill a cow, than you were if you were to like pick a head of lettuce out of the ground, something like that, and not eat it. I think both are wrong, but I think you're doing more harm in the world for doing the cow. However, I think you're doing more harm in the world if you were to like pull a tree out of the ground than if you were to kill an insect. And I do think that there are nuances and layers to this that are beyond the intellect. But yeah, I don't think it's as simple as animals more valuable than plants.
But you know, as a person, as a human, do you feel the same when you see someone chopping a piece of broccoli, or when you see someone slicing the throat of a pig? What do you feel inside when you see those two different images?
No, I don't feel the same. I feel more when I see the pig having its throat sliced.
So why do you think that is?
Because there is a part of me that empathizes more with the pig because I'm more similar to the pig than I am the piece of broccoli. But there is a part of me that if I see a tree being ripped down, there's a part of me that hurts inside as well.
Yeah. And do you think it might also have to do because the levels of like sentience like a pig can have is not the same as the level of sentience a plant can have?
Well, I mean, there are definitely plants out there that have higher levels of sentience than a pig, but if there's
Like what?
like ayahuasca, like peyote.
But isn't that like the juice from a cactus?
Yeah.
So how do you describe the levels of sentience of like a substance?
I have no idea, but go and experience them and you'll fucking see. You'll see what I'm talking about, man. You'll see that there are types of wisdom and types of knowledge that are intrinsic to ayahuasca that are so beyond what human beings can understand right now in modern scientific terms that you'll see, fucking hell, yeah, we really mixed up this whole consciousness thing. And a lot of the spiritual leaders around the world say the same thing. Like, a lot of them are vegetarian, but they don't say it's because of moral reasons. They say it's because of nutritional reasons.
Yeah, that I never understood. Like, I don't know. The way I see it, if you're vegan, is purely for moral reasons.
No, something tells me that in the future I'll probably be vegan again. And I think what will happen is that once I reach a certain level of spiritual growth in my life, in a very certain direction, if I were to go towards the more like yogic way of living, if I do that in this lifetime, then I'll end up being vegan, because there's a certain type of cleanliness, there's a certain type of efficiency that your body creates when you're eating very simple foods that are simply digested. But right now, for the place that I'm at spiritually and materially, eating meat is sustaining me a lot more than if I were to purely eat vegan. So for me, it's a nutritional argument, or it's a nutritional point. But yeah, like I said, I have a lot of deep empathy with people that go vegan, and it's a very respectable thing as long as it's, done with love instead of done with hate or shame or anything like that. It's not easy, and to choose that based on your own moral compass, I think is great.
So you would say then that the main reason you eat meat is like spiritual?
I don't think there's a main reason, but it feels right. For all of the reasons. It feels right for spiritual reasons. It feels right for nutritional reasons. It feels right for material reasons. At the moment.
Yeah, but just going back to nutrition, you just said there is no difference between what you can get between a vegan and a non-vegan diet. So
no, there's a huge difference for sure.
In what?
I don't know, but there's a huge difference. Like when I eat meat, I feel a shit ton different to when I don't. And I you can narrow it down to macronutrients, micronutrients, all you want, but the fact is that modern science does not understand nutrition in the slightest, and that's why none of us agree with each other about any of it.
Okay, so you think there is some nutritional component
No, I'm
But
not.
we,
I'm
we
not.
just
I'm
don't
not.
know.
I'm not
We
even
don't know
saying.
about it yet.
I'm not even saying nutritional. I'm saying there's some component. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to label it.
Okay,
but
so you don't know if you would put it in nutrition or spiritual or something else.
something, man. I
Okay,
don't know what it is.
I see.
But I feel it, and there's no denying that other people feel it too. You know, when people eat meat, they feel different. You know, I feel more primal. I feel more connected to my body. I feel more connected. But when I eat vegan, I feel more connected to like the ether and the spiritual realms and things like that. So it's not a simple thing to understand. And I currently don't have the right knowledge to be able to articulate it exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just been vegan for so long that at this point, it will be really hard for me to believe that I would find some excuse to like go back, like spiritual or whatever. I just can't imagine it. That's why.
And I would say if that feels right for you, then fucking do it. Like be vegan, you know. And I'd say trust your own intuition, trust your gut. But what's really easy to do is to look at your own life and say, well, this works for me, and now I'm going to rationalize why it should work for everybody else as well. But there's like 100 different variables included when choosing your different things that you're going to be eating, and it's impossible to be able to then prescribe your own personal 100 variables onto somebody else's own personal 100 variables.
Yeah, just like I cannot even talking about personal variables and like choosing, because for me the freedom of other animals they just come first. So
What about the freedom of plants?
yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Just by existing, we are going to cause damage.
Yeah,
But I would rather
life
cause
is
damage to like a being that doesn't feel pain, at least not at the same level than a pig or a cow or a chicken would do.
and me too. But how about this? What if you know, imagine a world where factory farms don't exist. So we've managed to eradicate factory farms, which I believe is one of the biggest monstrosities on Earth right now.
Of course.
So imagine we have purely, you know, grass-fed beef, chickens out in the wild, you know, having the best time of their lives. They live, you know, relatively fucking great lives. And then they have this very short moment of potential fear, but not even if you do it in a halal way. You know, if you're killing an animal in a sacred way, you can do it. So there's basically zero fear or you know, there's zero fear of what's happening to them.
But isn't the halal way with like stunning them?
Maybe halal's. I shouldn't have used that word. I just mean like a more sacred way.
Okay, no, I thought that was the worst way of all. Like they don't even stun them; they just slice their throat while they are completely conscious. But I could be wrong. But...
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, to be honest.
Okay.
So yeah, I just mean like a sacred way. So there's like minimal or zero fear, zero whatever, instant death. And so imagine that world in comparison to a world where everybody's vegan. Well, suddenly those animals don't even get to exist. That cow doesn't get its 2 years of life or 3 years of life, super happy with its friends and with its whatever, eating grass and having the best time in the fields, because the market isn't there to allow these cows to exist in the first place. Do you feel like not allowing or not having these beings have a joyful existence is better because they're going to end up having that brief moment of you know, being killed?
Yeah, but that's like saying, okay, why don't we breed slaves and we let them be children and be happy for like 10 years, and then when they are old enough, we just use them to work for us.
There's some, for me, and if it's different for you, I'm not going to argue it too much, but for me there's a huge difference between animals and humans. There's an extra layer that I would call the soul, and you could call whatever you want. And it's never right for us to choose when a human dies or lives.
Did you ever had dogs or cats or animals of your own? You have cats now.
Yeah, I got one dog, and a cat just gave birth, so we actually have 6 cats now.
So like when you look at them, like you look at them in the eyes, like what do you think? You think like no one is in there?
I don't. I know that they don't have a soul, but I know that I love them dearly and deeply, and I would never harm them. I would never kill them for food or anything like that.
But how can you be so sure that they don't have a soul?
Uh, this is a different conversation for maybe a different time. But from my understanding, at least from the spiritual work that I've done and the people that I've spoken to who happen to be able to do incredible things that I thought was impossible and have shown me things that I didn't know existed. My understanding of a soul is that humans have them, animals don't.
So you think that is like somewhere like a huge line drawn, like human soul, gorilla, chimpanzee, no soul.
Correct, yeah.
I would like to hear more about what did you see that made you believe that, but I guess.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to go into because it requires so much backstory and so much like there are a few people, one person in particular that I've met, that if you met her and you saw everything that she could do, you saw how much knowledge she had, so much profound understanding of all of these different metaphysical elements, and she could prove it. She could say, hey, I'm going to do this thing that's against the laws of Newtonian physics, and then just fucking does it. I'm going to tell you this thing about yourself and this thing about this person, and just fucking does it. I'm going to diagnose this person with a fucking disease they have when they were 3 years old just from a photo of their face when they're 26, and then just fucking does it. You know, all of these things, and then says, oh, by the way, this is my job that I'm learning this, and I'm going to tell you exactly how this works and how this works, without any incentive for themselves to lie or to cheat or anything like that. Then you start exploring it in other lenses through other practitioners and through other schools of thought, and it all seems to concord and seems to correlate, and you start to build up your own picture of what reality looks like based on all of these different perspectives and lenses and testing, and you're exploring it yourself and putting all of these concepts to the test through your own meditative experience. Suddenly you start to build a picture of reality and what it looks like and what the metaphysical elements of reality look like as well. And obviously there's still a long way for me to go, but this is one of the things I can actually speak with certainty about.
Okay. Can you even comment on what she did to defy Newtonian physics?
Yeah, there's a few things. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time choosing which one to say.
Did she levitate?
She did not levitate.
That would be a cool one.
Yeah, that would be a cool one. I've seen videos of people that I do believe was real levitating, but I'm not going to fucking talk about that now. So let's.
By the way, I'm not making fun at any point. I'm just.
No, I didn't feel that from you at all.
Okay.
So recently at the retreat that I was at, I'll use the example I said before. There was a guy called Chi there, and I fucking love Chi. If Chi you're listening right now, I fucking love you, man. He had some issue with his lungs, and he was up all night coughing. And I was like, do you mind if I send a photo of your face to this person, who I'm not going to name, and I'm going to see if they can help you understand if there's something happening metaphysically or if it's just purely biological. Now, if you looked through my phone and you looked through the conversation between me and this person, it's all in Russian because I have to use a translator because they don't speak English. But if you look through the media and files on Facebook, it is literally, I'm not going to show too much of it, but it's literally just fucking photos of people, their faces, just fucking hundreds of them. And she's teaching me how to read people in certain ways, metaphysically. And so I get Chi's permit and various other things as well she's teaching me. But I don't want to speak about it too much because it's, private matters. But anyway, I send this person a photo of Chi's face. I'm like, yo, this guy's lungs seem to be fucked up. What's going on? And she replies back, she's never replied anything like this before. She says, when he was younger, he had bilateral pneumonia and it never fully healed. And I said that to Chi, and I was like, don't know what this means, but apparently you used to have bilateral pneumonia when you were young. And he goes, what the hell? How on earth did she know that? And that's exactly what happened. He had bilateral pneumonia when he was a kid and it never fully cleared up.
Do you think before she communicated that she even knew what bilateral pneumonia was?
Yeah, yeah. She's a very very knowledgeable person.
Okay.
And this isn't this isn't the only time that this has happened. This also happened with Helena as well. I can't remember exactly what the diagnosis was there, but anyway, that's two examples that I honestly could give probably about 50 examples of things that people would say is absolutely impossible or a fucking lie or whatever like that is. But for me, it's it's my life. I live it all day, every day, and I've explored these things myself.
And you think these things don't happen to most people because you need to go looking for them?
Yeah, exactly. And because the people who are truly good at what they do, they don't want to go out in public and fucking show it off. In fact, it's wrong. It's wrong to do that. But if there's actually a word for it in yogic culture, maybe somebody in the chat can remind me what it's called. But for when you start developing, is it like cities or something? Siddhas? City. Yeah, city. In Tantric Buddhism, city. What's the definition? Just changed. Okay. In Tantric Buddhism, city specifically refers to the acquisition of supernatural. I don't like that word, supernatural, but powers by psychic or magical means or supposed faculties are required. Essentially, it's like a very common thing within yogic communities, whether it's Buddhist or Hindu or whatever it is, Taoist, that if you reach certain levels of enlightenment, you get access to different parts of the mind, different parts of the consciousness that can supposedly do other things that other people can't do. And that it's a lot more complicated than that. It's also connected to reincarnation. It's also connected to karma and things like this. It's like a very complex thing. But essentially, yeah, these people claim to exist. I've explored these things a lot. I've explored it within myself as well. And I've seen things that if you showed me when I was younger, I'd be like, there's no fucking way that's real. Because I was such a materialist, atheist, naturalist kind of guy, you know. I was like, there's no fucking way. I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so I relate to that, man.
Yeah, and still in some way, like I'm way more spiritually underdeveloped than you. But yeah, I used to be way worse like 10 years ago.
In what way?
Like completely thinking that, you know, the material world is all that there is and everything else is nonsense and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy thing to fucking believe when that's all you see. And all the people that are claiming otherwise seem to be idiots. But then you find that not all the people claiming otherwise are idiots.
That's another thing, no? That all the people that you meet that think otherwise, most of them are just nuts, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's very hard to find the duality between rational, grounded thinking mixed with like intuitive understanding. But when you do find somebody that's found that duality, fuck yeah, it's good. It's fucking powerful, man. It's very easy to find rational people that don't believe in the power of intuition and spirituality, and it's very easy to find spiritual people that don't believe in the power of rationality, or just can't do it because their rationality is not very sharp.
Yeah. Have you practiced astral projection?
A little bit, but now I do not because the person that I was just referring to doesn't consider it valuable. For me to do it, at least, it'd be like a little bit too high level for me to actually achieve anything from it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's real. It's real. It's a real phenomenon. It's just not currently the right time for me to explore it.
Okay, I see. So let's move off to a completely different topic.
Let's do it, Pedro. Did we find some common grounds with the veganism thing?
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said, spiritually I like way more underdeveloped than you. So there are things that I really cannot understand or judge because I cannot put myself in your place. But I also find some cognitive dissonance in some of your arguments.
Like which bit?
I don't know. I just don't think someone in your position can really find any justification to find like saying like you can get like ethically sourced meat, like things like that.
So it's
But
I don't feel like I'm finding any justification that's like an easy rationalization. Like I said before, I was willing to give up meat for the sake of ethics, and it's not difficult for me to give up meat.
yeah, so I feel we have some common ground, some differences, but I think we would be just going in circles a bit.
I think for me what's important is to understand that there's so much that we don't know, and to prescribe one way of being in this very multivariate analysis to everybody, I think can be very, very detrimental. I think
There is things that we don't know, but there is things that we know for certain, like they feel pain, they feel fear. They want the same things as us, like being with their family.
For
They want
sure,
to be
yeah.
free. They want to eat. They want to be on the outside.
yeah.
They don't want to live 2 or 3 years. They want to live their full lifespan.
Whoa, they don't want in the same way that humans do.
Oh, of course, they cannot. They don't have the same, you know.
Yeah, they
They
exist.
cannot
They exist.
rationalize that to
They,
that
they,
point.
they can't they can't think of the future. You know, it's not like a concept that exists to them. They exist in the present.
No, but they can feel the joy of freedom.
Hell yeah. So can plants, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the other direction we wanted to get into?
Yeah, this is a more like a poker question.
Let's do it.
So, let's say you have like somewhere between 100K and 200K in bankroll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I'm wasting my life away by only playing online MTTs? Should I be forcing myself to go and play live?
What do you like? What makes you happy?
I mean, obviously, I like being at home more than anything, being with my girlfriend.
Do you enjoy the life that you have just playing online MTTs?
Yeah,
Then
for sure.
fuck yeah, no, you're not wasting your life at all. If you're having fun doing it and you're making a living doing it, then you're spending time with your girlfriend, then fuck yeah.
But the thing is, like, I don't know enough about life, about the live poker scene to know if I'm like wasting like opportunities in like the economical sense.
You are for sure. You know, imagine you want to be a well-versed, well-rounded poker player. You want the ability to play as many different types of poker. Like I'm wasting economic opportunities by not knowing short deck. You know,
Yeah.
or PLO so well. You know, things like this. But I've chosen to not dig into that because I have other things in my life that are taking precedence. Precedence isn't the word I mean, but taking a priority. And yeah, so you just have to feel into each one of those things individually. Like, is it worth me exploring live poker for the sake of the EV that I'm going to get to have that option? Which, you know, as long as you have 2 options instead of 1, you're going to be able to make sometimes a higher EV choice to go to the other one. Is it worth the loss of EV that I get from not being with my girlfriend? Or maybe there's hidden EV in being able to travel the world and explore things and you know, see the fucking insides of a casino in 12 different countries.
I'm just worried that if I'm only making like between, let's say, 70 and 90K a year.
A lot of people in chat just feel sad at the sound of only 70 to 90K a year, guaranteed. Let's get some emojis out in the chat for that one.
If like, say in the future, poker becomes even harder or it gets banned or something happens, then as poker players, we don't have like a retirement plan or how do you call it? The money you get every month when you're retired?
Bitcoin, that's what you call it.
Yeah, so basically I'm worried that if I don't make enough money now when I'm young, then when I'm older, I'm going to be screwed. And if that is because I didn't play live and I didn't make all the money I could, then I would be kind of pissed off, you know.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Yeah, it's every single person's situation is unique. Like for me, I know that I'll be able to make money through business, but having a passive income is really fucking nice. You know, having that kind of stable underlying thing where my bankroll isn't just going up with crypto or with poker or whatever. Now I've got a family, it's really fucking important. Back when I was 19, it didn't matter to me because I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to try and maximize the amount of money I make through poker. So yeah, you have to just feel into your own situation. And I'd say you seem like a very intellectual person. You're never going to be able to figure this out through the intellect. The intellect can feed input into the analytical machine, which is your intuition. You have to just like feel into like, okay, what happens if I'm going to go to this next live poker stop? Don't fucking think about it. Feel it in your heart. Feel in, here's a world, like visualize a world where I'm going to this thing, visualize a world where I'm not, and just see which one feels better to you. I guarantee you'll come to more precise conclusions if you have a good connection to your intuition than you will from just purely intellectualizing it.
Okay.
That's a lesson I learned in a fucking ayahuasca ceremony. And I was laying down trying to work out whether I wanted to be with my girlfriend and whether I wanted to tell her that I cheated on her. I was like 21. And I couldn't for the life. It was the first time I tried ayahuasca. It was the first time I'd done it. I was super atheist and things like that, you know. Didn't believe in fucking any of it, but I was like, let's fucking try it out. Some, you know, shamanic nutcases and fucking try the little soup or whatever. And yeah, I was laying down and I was trying to intellectualize whether I should be with my girlfriend or not, and I was trying to come up with all the pros and I was trying to come up with all the cons, and then I was like, okay, well, I need to weight them. I need to say like, this is 3 times more important than that, this is 2.5 times more important than that. And I was really trying to intellectualize whether or not I should be with her. And I eventually came to a conclusion. I was like, I can't. My intellect is not capable of navigating this many variables at once. There's a multivariate analysis that my brain can't do. And at that very moment, my eyes are completely shut. I'm laying on my back in a room of 30 fucking people. For all they know, for all the shamans know, I could have been asleep. But for some reason, Shaman Dan, D-H-A-N, this Brazilian shaman, is a fucking beautiful guy. He's an older guy, but very fucking wise and kind and loving. You can just tell, you feel it from him. He wakes me up, taps him. I wasn't asleep, but he taps me on my shoe. And I sit up. He grabs his feather. He does this little cleansing thing to me. He goes, and I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks, dude. I'm sitting there kind of a little bit amused by the whole situation. And he looks me dead in the eye. And he goes, Charlie, you are a very, very intelligent young man. But you are young. You must learn not to only think with your head, but think with your heart.
So he was Brazilian, but he spoke like a Navajo, or what?
He spoke pretty good English. His English was alright.
Okay.
It was fine. It wasn't perfect, but his English was good. But he managed to get that sentence out pretty clean. In that moment, as I was coming to the conclusion in my head that I need to not only learn to think with my head, that it's impossible for me to work it out through my head, in that exact precise moment in a room of 30 fucking people, he chooses that moment to say the exact thing that takes me to the next step of understanding, which is that I need to learn how to think with my heart. Which sounds like some airy-fairy nonsense, but it means to really feel and connect your intuition to a situation. And he walks off, and I just go, what? And he turns back and looks over his shoulder and goes, as he's going to the next person, and he goes, you know what I mean. And I was like, fucking hell, I do know what he means. What the fuck? How does he know that I know what he means? That's fucking crazy. But anyway, I lay back down, and I do exactly that. I feel into a life where I'm with Amy, was her name. And then I feel into a life where I'm not with Amy. And I'm like, fuck, I want to be with Amy. This is great. This is amazing. And then I'm like, done, tick. Next question. Feel into a life where I've told her that I've cheated. And feel into a life where I haven't told her where I've cheated. I was like, fuck, it actually feels horrible not telling her. Like the secrets and the lies, it actually feels really wrong. So then I was like, well, I need to tell her that I cheated on her. Perfect, done. And then I was like, fuck, I need to tell her that I've cheated on her. And it hit me and I cried my eyes out. I was genuinely crying for like 20 minutes. Like all of this trauma had just come out of me, and I was saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I told her, and she broke up with me, and I was heartbroken for like a year. And that was exactly what I fucking needed. I needed that heartbreak. I needed to face my actions. Wow. So anyway, that's my ayahuasca story about how to think with your heart, and that's how I relate that to making your decisions through poker. You're not going to be able to intellectualize it. You have to just feel into it.
So basically, do ayahuasca and I will get the answer.
Or maybe skip that. Learn the lesson that I learned and just fucking think about it, and then put the information into your heart or into your intuition. And then
Is there a huge difference between the ayahuasca experience and something like mushrooms?
Yeah, there's a big difference. And I would say to anybody listening, I was very lucky that these shamans were competent in what they were doing with ayahuasca. Most people that claim to be a shaman for ayahuasca either have bad intentions or are not competent in what they do. Most shamans suck. And if you get a sucky shaman, things can happen to you that will be lifelong damaging. So please be very cautious. You can even send me a photo online if anyone's out there and wants to fucking check to see if the shaman's good or not. Or do your own due diligence at least, because it's a fucking industry out there now.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you stopped doing psychedelics, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I had an ayahuasca experience maybe 6 months ago, and I had a mushroom experience maybe 4 months ago, but apart from that I hadn't done them for like years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so just one question. So how big a bankroll do you think you need so that you can justify all the travels, the hotel expenses and so on? Because also like the buy-ins for live poker are much more expensive.
Wow.
So like, I don't think like going around and playing like 501Ks is enough. Isn't probably not as sustainable. No, you have to play higher.
Probably not. Yeah. No, you probably play higher. Maybe sell some at markup if you can. So you're kind of like paying the travel expense. Like if you can beat a 10K for a decent ROI, which you probably can, then you could sell for that 10K at 1.05. Sell like half of it. You're getting some of your money back already just from that one tournament. Yeah, you can reduce variance like that. You can reduce variance by swapping with other people or whatever it is. But yeah, if your bankrolls are like 100K, that's easily enough to go travel and play a main event, maybe play a 10K and sell like 80% of yourself or something like that.
So how would you advise to someone that's kind of like socially retarded to build a network where you are going to know people that are going to buy your action and so on? How would you say you go about that?
It's tough. Find a community, man. Find a community of good players and go ask, hey guys, can I join? You're Brazilian, right?
Spanish.
Are you Spanish? Okay, well there's a bunch of good Spanish players out there. There's a bunch of good Spanish players. There's a bunch of good English players. If you speak English, you can also speak to those people. Yeah, you just have to be you just have to try, reach out to people and say, hey, I'm this person online. Do you want to buy my action? Or maybe, hey, let's join. Let's talk strategy. There's a lot of things you can do with community, but I also relate to being socially retarded in these situations. And for me, it was just a case of just turning up and being a regular, and eventually I started just making friends.
Yeah, I guess by showing up is the main thing.
Yeah, I remember the first time I turned up to an EPT, I was with Ben, my friend that I was traveling with, and the first ever person that was nice to us, that said hi to us, was Kevin McPhee. I'm very, very grateful for Kevin McPhee, because we were sitting there just by ourselves, feeling kind of awkward, seeing all these big names walk past that we watched on TV, and it was a very isolating experience at first, but the more and more we started going to the same places, especially when we started winning, people started knowing who we were, and it became a lot more of a friendly atmosphere. But it took a few trips to feel comfortable, to be honest.
I just saw someone in the chat mention that they were at EPT Paris, so yeah, then we probably played together there.
Hell yeah.
Death Master.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Pedro, you sound like a fascinating dude. You're very humble and very sharp intellect, which I really appreciate.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you seem like you'd be a very powerful poker player.
Yeah, I can't complain so far, but yeah, I just feel like my growth is kind of like stagnating because online is getting harder and harder by the year.
Maybe you should come join my Discord, have some conversations about how to exploit as well as play.
I'm already on your Discord.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I just I joined the starter,
Yeah.
but I saw that it was mainly oriented towards cash games.
It is at the moment, but we're going to be doing more.
Okay, yeah, so I will keep an eye open for sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Pleasure speaking to you, Mr. Pedro.
Yeah, thank you for the conversation, man.
Yeah,
Take
you
care.
too, brother. See you. Peace. Beautiful people. Pedro. We've had some good conversations today. I've really liked everyone. Had that one guy playing Thomas the Tank Engine. That's pretty cool. I'm always curious what goes on in the minds of those people. Whether they're like, I'm gonna fucking show him, or whether it's just like a tee. This is a funny joke. Unfortunately, Nay, my friend says, I'm currently mid-debate instead with 13-year-old girls about whether it rains in Africa or not. Jesus Christ. And I got a message from my girlfriend saying that it's time for me to end my stream because some stuff's happening. Let's see if I need to end it now. Let's try one more person and then we'll call it a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, making his Epiphany Poker debate debut, we have the one, the only Fagan. Fagan. You're muted, by the way, dude. There's a little arrow in the bottom left. If you want to press that next to the microphone, then choose your microphone. It's probably just got the wrong one. All right. Hello, making his Epiphany Poker debate debut, Mr. Falcon. Hello, Mr. Falcon, connecting to audio. Says you're connected.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Falcon, what's up?
Hello.
I'm Mr. Eagle. Good to meet you.
Can we hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Not a whole lot. Just enjoying my evening, watching you. I've been a fan for a long time. Used to rail the old bankroll challenge when you started out from the micros. Always enjoyed watching you.
Thanks,
Big
man.
fan and whatnot. And just wanted to. I was wanting to egg myself on to join. A little anxious about it, but I just wanted to cover up some hot topics.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Just you can hear there still,
Say again.
Charlie?
Yeah. I'm still listening to you loud and clear, Mr. Falcon. What are these hot topics?
Weird.
Hello?
It's super delayed. I can only hear you through the Twitch.
Yeah,
Not through the call.
mute the Twitch and
really
then change the
things you can delay since from when I can hear you.
yeah. So try muting the Twitch and then change the speaker settings on Zoom.
Right.
Testing.
Sorry, 1 sec. Sorry, Jack.
Testing.
Yeah, speak.
Testing.
I still can't hear you. Really odd.
Yeah, so when you press the little arrow next to the microphone, There's something that says select a speaker, and then you choose the
There
right.
we got it.
Testing.
Yeah, we're good.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, so-
What are these hot button topics, Mr. Falcon?
What's your opinion on porn?
It's hard to just give one opinion, but I don't watch porn because I feel like it is it's a little bit of a succubus. I don't believe that there are healthy ways to ingest porn.
Yeah, also the same. I feel it's really really toxic to a young male's mind, and that a lot of young males are just exposed to a lot of sexualized stuff on the internet, and it's just really awful and horrible to see. Back in the day in Rome, they had bread and circuses and stuff. Nowadays, we just got video games and porn, and people just smoke a lot of weed, and
Yeah,
just
everyone
distinguished.
addicted to that dopamine rush.
just a lot of young men are distinguishing their flames by consuming all that garbage.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of people in the chat right now that are going to feel very personally attacked by you saying these things. So you're going to have to justify why you think porn is unhealthy, my friend.
It just seems it's just kind of my gut, more of a gut thing that tells me it, and just being addicted to it. Wouldn't let's just not read the chat.
Don't read the chat during these things. It takes a very good set of skills that I've developed over many years to be able to read the chat whilst in a conversation.
Yeah. It's more of just like in reality, like the touch of a woman might also hit you differently. I've heard it gives you when you're sitting there watching it at home every night, and it's just gonna you just, I don't know. I think it does affect reality. I'm
No, I feel you, dude. I'm with you on this, and there's something very unnatural about the ability to be able to just easily get something that will help you masturbate without any imagination, without any thought that goes into it, without any connection to it, which I think is the biggest thing. Generally, when people were masturbating back in the day, pre-porn, they would have to use their imagination. They'd have to genuinely think about something to turn themselves on. And that would be like a ritual that, some people might not have it so ritualized, but you'd use it to like connect to your body, to really, communicate with your body. And you could actually even use it in a spiritual tantric sense as well. But the idea of porn is like this quick fix, quick dopamine rush. What are you getting from it? Fucking nothing. It's just feel good for a few fucking seconds, or longer if you're a woman. But it's it's addictive, man. It's addictive and it's very tempting. There's a biological urge for us as especially as men, but women as well, to be able to see something that's super sexy, which we're wired to want to be able to see, because it's tricking us into thinking we're going to be able to pass our genes onto that thing, and then to fucking focus our attentions onto it and focus our sexual energy onto it is tempting. But yeah, it's a temptation that I think is best fought.
Yeah, agree. And also, like, I don't know where you stand on semen retention, but I hear like a lot of really highly, really smart people like Elon Musk, a lot of famous artists and stuff. I hear them preach about semen retention, and I also find that just on the internet, they expose us to all this sexual stuff, and maybe that's got those two kind of cross paths. There's a reason why we've been exposed to it.
I think so.
Like trying to.
I think porn was going to happen no matter what. The sex industry has been around since a long time at least, and porn, the internet gave us the chance to commercialize sex in such a way that it was just a gap in the market that was going to be filled no matter what. So I believe in the power of semen retention. I believe that it can help us. I know it can help us in certain ways, spiritually, physically, psychologically. I will say that a lot of people who are working with semen retention don't understand the metaphysical side of things, and that's me included. So I know that if I were to explore tantric circles, if I were to explore true tantra, which I'm trying to do by myself without actually any guidance, but it's it's not easy. Then what would happen is I would find ways of utilizing semen retention that I currently don't know. And what could actually happen if you have too much semen retention is you end up getting kind of stale and stagnated, which is, if you look at a lot of like priests and things like that, their semen retention's fucking off the charts, but they're stagnated energetically because they don't know what to do with that energy. They don't have a connection to their bodies or to the spiritual realms.
Sorry, what does metaphysical mean?
I'm using it to describe something that's kind of like beyond matter, to like maybe a spiritual phenomenon or something like that. There's actually a more precise term that I do use as well, but in that context, I just mean like beyond the biological.
That was actually one of the other topics is realms. Like I think I heard you talk about this quite a bit. Just realms beyond the physical and.
We're talking like DMT realms kind of thing.
Or just because isn't there like a certain amount of realms or something? I'm a total noob, sorry.
No, it's fine. So you could be describing dimensions, of which there are 144, but modern science will tell you there's 11 or 12 or 13 or whatever they've decided these days. There's actually 144 of them. But humans only existing on kind of three to four, but you can also kind of explore the other ones through other means. But then you could also talk about realms, which other people talk about in like psychedelic format or meditative format, where you can explore different parts of your mind, open up different parts of reality through either meditation or psychedelics, and things look different, they feel different, they can't quite compute in the normal material way.
Right. It's awesome. I've tried getting into meditation, but it kind of just hasn't. I bought the Kickstart one, and I think it was the other one on your website, and I kind of just find like the Kickstart one is just hyperventilating. It kind of just, I don't know if it was. I just felt as if it wasn't that beneficial for me.
Fair enough. And if you feel that, then try something else. And for me, it took a long time to find meditations that really made me feel good. Now they all do pretty much, apart from not all of them, but a lot of the ones that I'm doing. What other kinds of meditations might you try?
I've done like the Wim Hof one, the classic YouTube one.
Yeah.
But I haven't dabbled with much meditation outside. I've like gone out and sat on my lawn and just like, they're going about nature and stuff, so I go just chill, grass, trees and shit.
Yeah,
try and clear the mind. But I don't know. I just I don't know.
What do you want to achieve from it?
Just to. Well, that's a good question. Just being more grounded, I guess, and I guess I'm like a pretty chill guy. I don't really get like mad, but I don't know. What do you look?
For me, meditation, if I'm using kind of a broader definition of the word meditation, is just finding a lot of tools that I need. So if I'm feeling a little bit off center, if I'm feeling a little bit tired, if I'm feeling a little bit anxious, if I can't sleep or anything like this, I'll have different meditations for all of these different things. If I want to connect with certain energies in the world, if I want to go into deeper levels of consciousness, if I want to go into more of a trance state, things like that, if I want to heal trauma, then I'll have different meditations for all of these different phenomena. So for me, to explore meditation in a way that's gonna keep people motivated, it's like find what you want to achieve, like decide what you want to achieve, and then find a meditation that suits that. Like if you want to get like a really big rush and maybe help your immune system and things like that, the Wim Hof meditation is great. It's really, really good. It can help. Sorry, after you.
Yeah, because meditate, it just means to dwell upon, right? That's just the kind of the definition of it.
Yeah, I'm not using that definition there, but yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they just dwell upon, just constantly have just scrolling Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and they're not actually taking any time for themselves to, like, they're just forgot where I was going with that, but
No, you're making a good point, man. And may I say, well done for jumping on a stream if you're feeling anxious about it.
yeah, thank you. I think yeah, a lot of people don't care, and I overthink people overthink in their head, and you just shouldn't care about what some random has to say. Shouldn't take the
Would you be tempted to try something like a new type of meditation? Like I could list a few, and you could see if any of them feel good for you. Like,
oh yeah, sure, I would really would like that.
so one that a lot of people aren't ready for, but is universally powerful, is mantras. So specifically Sanskrit mantras, and that's like chanting quite often the same phrase for a certain amount of times. It doesn't even need to be a certain amount of times. Like very consciously and trying to bring about change in yourself to then bring about change in your life. So, for instance, there's one that I like to start people off on, which is the Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, which you can find online, people chanting and stuff. And that's basically chanting to Ganesh, which is the part of you that's inside that removes obstacles out of your life. And then you would meditate on what kind of obstacles you want to remove whilst you're doing that, how that would look, or whatever it is. And meditate just purely on the words themselves. You don't even need to think of the meaning or the application, and just explore through sounds what you can achieve inside of yourself and in your life. So that's the one. You could try grounding meditations where you put your feet in grass and you can find them online. Just like they'll tell you to visualize like roots going down through the bottom of your feet, and that can be really powerful too if you want to like get heavy energy out of you, get anxiety out of you, things like that. You can meditate on nothingness, which is pretty fun. Most people aren't ready for that one. You could sit in a half lotus position, connect your thumb and first finger, the one next to your thumb, and put your eyes up, pointing towards your third eye. Just try and meditate on nothingness and see what that does to you. It can really sharpen your intuition. That one. What else is there? You can try box breathing if you want to regulate your nervous system, which is like breathe in for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, breathe out for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, or it could be any number you want. That's really good for if you want to calm down. So out of those, do any of those like stand out to you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, have you dabbled with sun gazing or anything? Because I hear that's like the highest, the best thing you can do. Like I hear of an Indian guy who's into the whole Buddhism thing, and he survived over 400 days with just water and the sunlight. And I hear you have to get up with it like an hour as the sun rising, so the UV rating has to be like below 2, and you can just Google XYZ city UV index, and then that's how you're not damaging your eyes going blind or whatever.
I don't think people are going to go blind from looking at the sun, because as soon as it starts hurting, you look away. So just do it so it doesn't hurt, and then you'll be fine. Your eyes will tell you if you're going blind.
Yeah, you're supposed to go like 20 seconds off to start with, and then 30 seconds the next day, and so on and so forth. Just progressively 10 seconds every day. And you hear of people who have gone schizophrenic because they're downloading too much information into their brain from doing that too fastly, too quickly. Just wondering if you've ever dabbled with or know much about that.
Yeah. So sun gazing specifically, I did it this morning. It's a super powerful thing. So I was just banning someone from the chat. Was there something you mentioned after sun gazing? I
also heard. I just wanted to ask you like a couple of questions on. I hear you saying the dental industry is a bit of a scammers these days, and I agree with you. But I heard you talk about process that involved remineralizing your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just gonna say, how did you do that?
So for me, for my teeth to remineralize, I needed to cleanse my liver, which doesn't sound like super intuitive, but your body's connected in so many different ways, and I had so many toxins that were building up in my liver and then were flowing out into different parts of my body and was causing all of these cavities and all of these damages in my body. Modern dentistry will tell you it's something else. They'll tell you it's fucking the things I'm eating, shit like that, but it wasn't. And then, so yeah, I went to a dentist and they said I was going to need a root canal surgery or I was going to need to extract a tooth and things like that. And I didn't. I just healed my body through diet. And my teeth healed in ways that dentistry said was impossible.
Very interesting. Fasting. I see Vinci B doing it recently. And I actually read online from one of these guys that I think is really smart. He's saying that intestinal plaque buildup is fixable from fasting. And
Yeah.
There's also a number of other benefits from fasting. I was just wanted to know if you're into that stuff too, and what are your thoughts on it?
Fasting can be very good. The autophagy, it kicks in after a certain amount of time and your body starts regenerating cells quickly. I will say that I believe that, and I'm not 100% certain on this, but what I feel is that more people would benefit from different types of cleanses. So I've often spoken about a guy called Medical Medium online, and I did his cleanses, and I've seen thousands of other testimonials online of people that have healed their terrible disorders and diseases like brain fog and acne and neurodegenerative diseases and arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis, and autoimmune issues that they've had and things like that. They've managed to clear it up through his protocol. And I personally think a lot of people, because of all the toxins that they're eating in their fucking McDonald's and all of these things they're getting from drinking shitty water and whatever else it is, they have all of these buildup of toxins in their bodies, like heavy metals and other things as well. And they got to cleanse it out. And fasting by itself won't cleanse that. I believe you need some help from some plants for that one.
Can I find them online?
Yeah, medical medium is everywhere. I got his blue book, but I got it on Audible because the book itself is very fucking meaty, and I literally just played it on like 3x speed, and just I got through it as quickly as possible. Somebody in the chat said "Om Mani Padme Hum." Shout out to that.
It's do you supplement for any others, like is there any like general health stuff?
Yeah, I've used a lot of supplements over time, and Medical Medium speaks about them a lot. I've actually recently got into supplements that are gummies, and I'm not 100% sold on them, but it's at least very easy to take them because they taste so fucking good. And they're made of like organic fructose. They do have organic sunflower oil in, which I think is suboptimal. But they taste so fucking good, and they have all these vitamins in, and so it's at least incentivizing me every day to fucking take all these vitamins. But vitamin was it D3 and K2 for me in particular is really important at the moment, just because for some reason I'm not getting enough. It's probably because I spend so much time indoors.
Yeah, because like my great grandfather back in the day, like an orange would be 3 times more nutritional, and like
it's true.
In those days, chickens were 3 times as small, and I think I heard it's got something to do with the soil.
Yeah, it seems to
And
be
that-
to do with the soil.
and that's
Shout
why,
out to Sad Guru, who's the Indian guru who's trying to save the soil.
Yeah, and that's why supplementing is so important, because everyone's just deficient in so much stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that, but yeah, that's probably exactly it. Fuck yeah! I'm gonna head because my wife has said that she wants me to come down. Yeah. But I will. Thank you, Mr. Falcon. Do you want to give your real name?
My name's Fagan Gray. I stream a little bit on Twitch if you don't mind me plugging.
Yeah, let's plug it. If you want to stream now, I can raid you, but if not, don't worry.
It's a little late here at 2 a.m. I kind of don't want to commit myself to a
No
full
worry.
MTT
Oh,
stage.
you're in Australia?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Fuck yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it as always.
Yeah, it was a
Legend,
pleasure,
legend.
dude. legend to you too, Mr. Falcon.
All right. Peace out, man.
Peace,
Have a
brother.
good evening.
See you.
Bless.
Shout out to that guy. Everyone today's been so fucking lovely. Fuck yeah. Let's find somebody to raid. Don't know who this person is. Let's raid this person. Everyone get in the chat. They look like they got good energy. Send your love to this person. Make sure that they feel they're appreciated in the world. Peace. Raid. Boom.